Oh, hey, hey, that's okay. You know, I bought this. I was at the thrift store, my favorite place to go, and and I found this little sign, and it says, I'm not a rocket surgeon."
Yeah, exactly. But I want to learn, even if I make mistakes, I just really, really want to learn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here we'll see what we can find out here. Let's see. All right. So, and for anybody tuning into this, we have been discussing how you get these asymmetrical feet where the horn tubules all twist around and make your horse toe in, and how you don't think you're trimming a heel out or lower or anything, but in reality you are. And the reason you don't think you are is because as you trim the heel lower and the horse makes a false heel, it pulls that side up to where that side can even look higher on a continual basis to where you're lowering it sometimes. When in reality, that's the side that's been over trimmed without you realizing it. Um, so, okay, so we're going to go back to the pictures here. Just a second. Um, find where I'm at here. Share. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, and now you see how this bulb is wider
Yes,
here and
yes,
then this bulb. Okay,
yes.
and you see how this part of it is pulling over. I can annotate here. Get the annotator. Okay, so this bulb here is wider.
Yes, that's another one I wanted to talk to you about to analyze this type of view because you can learn, like I was studying the hairlines, they can be convex and concave or
Mm-hmm.
straight. And I think it will be very interesting for everybody to be able to read those lines of the hairline
Yeah,
in this view because I
yeah,
was always comparing, okay, so which side is more run forward if I just look at the hairline, or which side is more the heel is more and the bulbs are more inwards,
yeah,
rotated inwards and spooled.
and
What the
see,
hairline tells me,
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll show you how the hairline is supposed to be. Let me
and
show
then
you a picture of
and then
that.
you see there is in the middle of the central sulcus, it's like a crack. It's always breaking, and I want to
Okay,
understand what
okay,
it means, where the pull is happening, because
okay.
it's a very specific crack.
Right here.
Yeah, in the middle you see
Yep,
the darker line. Yeah,
yep, I see it.
it's
I see
always.
it. And have I got a surprise for you?
Now you see
See,
it's
now
very good and into.
were you here last week?
No, unfortunately not.
Aha, so you missed the one we didn't record,
Oh God, that's
right?
very bad.
Okay.
Yes.
No, this is okay. It's good because it's interesting now. After different things have come to light, looking at the different aspects of this foot and being able to tell what's going on. First of all, what you got going on here is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Right between the bulbs here.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's more visible on the solar view.
Just a minute here. We will look. Got to take them lines out of there. Okay. Okay, before we go on, okay, this I want to say that this bulb here is pulled down and that way. It's being pulled that way. And that is from this heel being a little bit lower and being a little bit more trimmed out is what.
But you see, I was actually lowering it because I thought the medial heel was trimmed out more.
Oh,
Because the medial heel is more open and looks run forward, and there is no soul. The soul was really not there on that side.
Okay, so this is the medial side over here, right?
Yes.
And this is the lateral. How can you say there's no soul? I see soul there.
Well, but in comparison with the other side, with the lateral side, it was like nothing there
You mean
before.
smaller triangle?
No, it was like thinner. It was the white line was completely like not strong on the medial side, and everything was kind of pulled forward and to
Okay.
the side. And there is really the sole was like shallow on the medial side. On the lateral side it was really full, you know, it was like compacted with sole.
Okay, so the you're saying this side here was compacted with soul.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but was it
Before,
flaky soul?
no, it was just like really jammed, like
Okay,
I
so
can,
it could have just been retained soul, it's all. And it
well,
also could have been, wait, it also could have
yeah.
been because when the heel was over trimmed and then it pulled the bulb down, which pushed the wall out, which then curled the heel in, right? So originally, this heel would have been further back here, and there's sole there. So when this heel gets pulled up this way, what do you think happens to the sole that was right here?
Hmm.
See, see, what does it do? It pushes all that sole up into that heel that was formerly back here.
Well, I
And
can, I just sent you a picture before,
okay,
and there was like no, no, that's not that one.
let's see. Is this the same foot?
No, 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 it's not the same foot.
Oh, okay. I like it.
You need to go the other way. Now that's before, that's before, that's before also. Yeah,
Okay, this is the
so
last one. Okay, whenever and whenever you have a wall bulging out like this and a
yeah.
bar that's over like that, that is because that heel got lowered. That heel got lowered, and when the foot tries to stand up again, it will then pull the wall behind it to make a false heel. And so it will
Okay.
look like it's higher. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, it can look like it's higher. It may not do it every time. Look at the frog here. Let me get annotate again. Wait. Uh, okay. Look at the frog right here. How it's pulled over more.
But on the other side, it's also pulled.
Well, but
You
not
see?
not quite as much. Look at here. Look at the size of the bulb.
Yeah.
See
I'm not
here?
trying to be annoying. I'm just trying to understand. You know, please.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, come on. Like, I don't want to question. I just want the
No,
truth,
you're
you
all
know,
right.
what I
You're
want to understand.
yeah. So you see how this bulb is wider and
Yes.
this bulb? That means this bulb is pulled down and around, stretched over. And the only reason it does that is because this heel got trimmed lower at some point.
I always thought that I trimmed the other one lower at some point.
Well,
Then I'm
you know,
completely in space.
you
Okay.
may have at some point, you know,
Okay.
but see, but the bulbs ain't don't lie and stuff. This one's narrow and this one's
Yes.
stretched way over here. See? Okay. And you can see it in the frog, you know. You can see,
Yeah.
well, I can anyway. I can see that this is stretched over more. You know, this whole
Okay.
bulb is
It
stretched
makes
over more.
sense. Yeah.
Okay, so what you have to do,
So the whole thing started from the lateral heel being overtrimmed, and then
Yep.
it kind of rotated it. But interesting, because the tubules on the lateral side were always more upright on the lateral, when on the lateral view. I just need to
Yeah, now
find
here's
some.
something interesting. Look at this red mark on the toe here.
Yeah, that's, what I was thinking, that red mark appears where the most tension is between the tubules, like the tubules get really bumped together. And I always wanted to compare to the dorsal view, just to see how the tubules behaving at the site of redness.
Uh-huh. Well, we can on that frontal view, you see how they're all jammed up and weirded out. How see all these tubules are being pushed around
Mm-hmm.
this way, and then the way the foot is landing, okay, because it won't land level.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Just a minute here. Let me take a copy of this picture and put it in where I can rotate it. Because what
Maybe we
happens,
can do, Linda, maybe we can do the last, the most recent one. It would be more useful.
okay, I'll do them
I
both.
can, I will just clean the my red lines so you have a clean picture.
Okay, search. And here's the
And
thing too. Okay, here's something is really important to remember, and I have to remember it. I need to start doing it. I think about it when I'm doing this and I'm doing markups and stuff like that. But uh okay, where I just got lost. Okay, let me annotate here for a minute. When we hold the foot,
Yeah, I send the.
okay, we are assuming that this heel here and this heel here are straight across from one another. See there? So we're
Well, they're not.
holding the foot. We're literally holding the foot as if they were, but they're not. Look at the bulbs.
Yeah.
See? They're not. And so we hold the foot as if these heels are straight across from one another. And so we are not seeing the truth of how the foot is really skewed, because we're looking at these heels as if they're the same distance from here up to here. See, but watch when I rotate the foot. Just a minute here. So that it's uh and we take the picture and we're looking at it this way, the pointed this way. Usually it's all cockeyed on the foot because it's all on a bunch of hinges over here, joints, right? So
Mhm.
let's see here. Let me undo this. Okay, so let's see. Copy. I'll go to Snagit here. Just a second. Okay, I suppose you don't want me. I suppose I don't have enough oomph in my stupid computer to even do this.
Mm.
Aha, there we go. Okay, let me share this part just a second. Yeah, I'm always I'm gonna do this foot first and then whatever foot you sent, because since I already had it. Okay, so you see now, I got the foot here. Let's make it bigger. Okay, so here I can rotate it. See, if we rotate it and we make the bulbs straight across from one another right here, or try and make them level. Let's see. Probably be like so. So, okay, see how I pulled them down there? Okay. Okay,
Yep.
now the bulbs are perfectly level. Okay, now let's draw some lines. Get an arrow here. Come on, give me an arrow. Okay, a second. Okay, what should we use? Let's use this one. Okay, so the bulbs are straight across. Let me make that bigger. Now the heel, um, see, I'm not in the right spot. Just a minute. Okay, right here is the heel point. If we were to go straight across, oh my God. If we were to go straight across with the bulbs, see there?
Mm-hmm.
See the difference?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, here, this is right on the heel point. Okay. This heel here looks higher. In reality, it's not because you're dealing with sidewall here that's you dealing with a buttress that has been, well, look at the bar, how far the bar is over there compared to this one. See, now look at how, you know how we can look in front and the whole foot is skewed around this way, around
Mm-hmm.
like so. Just a minute
Yep.
here. Okay. Yeah, we look at it and it goes like this. Like so. Why is it that color?
Yeah, we need something
A minute.
brighter.
I need something brighter. Undo. Let's see. Let's do red.
It's just such a
Brighter.
useful conversation. I wish I should have plucked the courage and do it more earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and not brew myself in this soup of remorse and
Yeah. You know what? These feet are resilient. Your feet are in very good shape. Just because they've got some distortion, don't even go there to beat yourself up. Because you probably got the best feet of any of us,
Mm.
you know? So just because you got a little distortion here and there, it's no big deal at all. I mean, you got wonderful healthy frogs and soul and everything. So
And it's interesting, it's always the right front that I did that.
yeah, there's just something about the mechanics, body mechanics and things
Yeah,
like that that'll
yeah.
get you to do that. I did it on all 4 feet,
Hmm.
okay? Because I'm consistent. I am consistent at making distortions. I make matched feet.
But
They got matched distortions.
I just would like to understand the dynamics because I was completely sure that I was trimming out the medial heel because there is lack of soul there, and the the connection, the white light connection on the left, on the medial side, was all stretched out, whereas on the lateral side it was really very, very tight. and
Uh-huh.
and the wall on the medial
What?
side was always thinner and more stretched out, whereas on the lateral side it was really thick, and it was very difficult for me to trim because I was
Yeah.
like, how to deal with it all, you know.
Mm-hmm. See, and I'm not even sure I got this exactly right. Okay, but I know that this foot is not same-sided, you
No,
know, and
absolutely.
that this side, the only way this happens is when this side gets trimmed out a little more each time. And the reason it usually gets trimmed out a little more is because it looks higher when it's not. See? And so if you take it down a little bit, it just keeps pulling the bulb down. And then because the bulb is cartilage and fat, and once it has one place it belongs, one place only. And so it will try and go back up. And when it does, it will pull this heel in like that.
Yeah, yeah,
It bulges the wall out and pulls the heel in.
yeah.
See, up behind it here.
Well, it's
So
just
that
building the artificial, it's moving the wall to grow to have this temporary false
the
heel. That's
height.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then a lot of times when you aim down at the heels, not every time, but a lot of times when you sight down those heels, that side will look high. So you will trim it down, and then it gets worse and worse, you know, because your heels are not supposed to be uh let's see here. Let me get a pin. Are not supposed to be curling in like this. Okay? Your heels are supposed to be pretty much like this heel is. See?
Yeah.
See? Aim straight back, not curling in and stuff. Now the heels on my horse all curl in because of all the years I spent trimming the heels out. And recently just found I've been like they've all been asymmetrical on the lateral sides, some worse than others. And so that's been something I have been trying to correct for many years. And I'm just now really, really getting some stuff figured out on how to do it, you know? Um, so yeah, see your frog is skewed too. This
Yeah.
whole foot is twisted around that way. And so he's landing, I think uh he's landing kind of maybe this way, like so. I'm trying to think, how would that work?
I don't know.
See, how would that work? How would he land? Like, does he land on this heel and then flip over to that heel? And then when he breaks over, does it go this way? See what I mean?
Yep.
Like, instead of, like, and you couldn't lower this heel to where it'd be straight across from here, you know. Let me do a different color.
I found
To where
some
it'd
left.
be like
Yeah.
here. Oh, that ain't what I want. Wait a minute. Undo. Um, okay. Nope, I did need a pen. That's right. Okay. Pen, red. Okay, so trying to make it like this other one here. See where the heel
Mhm.
should be. Oh, get out of here. Ah, let me back up. Okay, so right straight across from there. So we want to go down to here and then around to here and then up to here. Something like that. I mean, it's close, but instead of curled,
Yeah.
something like that. But then this bulb here, it all come in too. See? To where this bulb would be more like the size of the other one. It's all this would come over because this side is pulled over and forward.
Hmm.
So, okay. All right. Well, that's enough for today. No,
Okay. You're just
we'll see
leaving
you
me with
next
all
week.
that. You just leave me with all that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Totally perplexed
Oh my
even more.
goodness.
Now I can't even touch the foot.
No, what you're going to have to do is grow this heel back in and get it to move
Buddy.
over this way. So I can show you some things I've been doing to
I just
work
would
on
like to
mine.
understand what shall I do now? I mean, this is an older picture,
Okay,
and I'm like, okay, that's all very nice. I kind of,
we'll go and look here. Just a
but
minute. I'm going to
what I
take a
should do
picture.
tomorrow, get out of the house, look at my horse, what I should start
Okay,
doing.
give up. No, I'm just kidding. That's the way it feels sometimes. I'm telling you, wouldn't it be nice just to be able to hire a farrier? You know? Yeah, ha ha. See, we shouldn't have been doing this. We should have just been able to call a professional.
Now, I would like to, I really like however difficult it is. I appreciate it because otherwise I would never know
Yeah,
if I would not be in a situation right now and deal
yeah,
with it all. Then I would actually miss the opportunity to witness such case and to learn, because who would teach me that?
yeah. Well, nobody, but then they'd know it, so we wouldn't have to. Wouldn't it be nice if they just knew it? Like if they just knew the truth and we could just trust them with their horse's feet and you know, you could like Nina, see, she's a trimmer, you know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and stuff and just the stuff they're teaching is crippling and killing horses all over the place and they're blaming it on diet.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this the side of that horse's foot?
This is the medial. That's where the it's kind of where we lack soul and the white line is stretched, and that's where he is stowed in, or whatever you call it,
Okay.
and where the hairline is bumped up really at the toe quarters.
Okay, yeah. Well,
This
I
side.
see what you're saying there. Well, that would be maybe because this side got long and high.
Yes.
See, that toe got high is what
Mhm.
happened. Like, because this is the toe right here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you need to bring that toe down some. Like, is there some way to sight down? You can tell that it's high. That's why it's red. So
But there is nothing to take.
how come? Because you're running into sole?
No, because the on the other side, on the lateral side, it's full of soul. So I will have to take so much on the lateral side to
No,
make it.
no. You just take this down a little bit and bevel the wall to all the way to the white line to start letting that wall come down that has jammed up.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
okay,
what I'm doing now. Just always a little bit, a little bit.
well, look at this side too. I mean, you can take this down some more because you got a pretty good,
But can you, Linda, can I ask you to look at the more recent picture? Because
yeah, where is it?
I'm sorry.
That's
This
this
one.
one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is you can take this down.
Yeah.
In
Mm-hmm.
fact, you could take all of this somewhat down, right? Not the heel, but
Not the
like from here forward, you could like rasp down to the sole ridge,
okay.
okay? Um, and bevel this wall. See this wall getting a little bit high and a little bit high. It's just jamming up, jamming up, jamming up, jamming up. So
Well, that was my now. That's what I do. I always kind of take it that, yeah, down more and more, a little bit more all the time. That's the old one. That's the old one.
yeah,
Old one. That's
okay.
also old one.
Okay, so it's coming from two directions. One is that this toe is getting a little bit long, and so yes, it is jamming up, but a lot of it's coming from back here too. So as you correct this heel,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but you're gonna have to bevel, just even if you just beveled this wall to allow some of this
Yeah.
to drop
So
down.
that's the first thing in the strategy to do with the heel. What do I do with the heel?
Okay. with the heel. With the heel.
The more updated picture, please.
Okay.
The last one. Last one? No, this one. Yeah.
This one.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. Let me look. Now
Because, I want to
this,
have clarity, so I need to pay attention to the toe wall and the toe quarters on the medial side. With the lateral heel, what shall I do? What should be my strategy?
okay. Well, first of all, we're going to come in here and map this foot. So hold on here. Let me get the annotator, whatever that means.
So
I've
the
never
bulb
even
on the
heard that word
medial,
before.
Linda, so the bulb on the lateral side is more curled and more pulled, skewed
And
in,
here's the thing.
because the bar is also more.
Well, but here's the thing is that this side is not as bad as it was in the other pictures.
Yeah, it's getting better.
So you're already doing something right. Um, so you need to take down the apex of your frog more until you literally get to where it blends in with the sole, where
Yes.
you see a seamless line.
Yeah.
Okay. And so right about here, up into the heel here. Okay, so this bar has to be taken off because how can this wall right in here, first of all, that's going to hold this heel curled in. See? Because see how it's bent?
Yes, I see. Yeah.
Okay, so you have to trim these bars down like that. And they are lower than the sole because the sole is lower. The sole tapers down. Like if you're looking at the back of a foot, the sole tapers down like that. It's not up like that. Um, so so mapping the bars, that's a big part of it because this foot here is different than the one I just did. You're already making progress. How about that?
Can I
But
ask a question? Maybe some people also, how you identify to which point to connect, and like how you identify the points. I understand the apex point. You kind of, when you trim the apex to you trim the apex, then you put it like dot on each side. But where exactly and why you're choosing the spot on the heel?
well, one night I had a dream. No,
All right,
just
I
joking.
love you.
One night I had
This
a dream, and in my dream, I traveled over the miles to your house and I spoke with your horse. Okay. And he told me that this is where the line should be.
Oh, come
I'm
on, Linda,
I'm
be more
joking.
scientific.
I'm joking. Okay, you can send the $65 for that reading to my address. Okay.
Cool.
Cash. I only accept cash.
No, in the end.
Marks, francs,
Whatever.
whatever. No Canadian. Sorry. Okay. Uh okay, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Because I remember doing that. Because for a long time, well, when I started out, I was doing it like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
And
we were
then,
doing in the
then I
middle.
was doing it
Yeah.
like this.
Yes.
Okay. And I can really tell you why I did it. I just felt at the time that these bars were holding everything up. And so I decided to change it. And in the end, sometimes, most of the time, I learn something about the anatomy and I'll do it. And then I'll see the result.
Yeah.
But this time, just because of what I knew of how these bars are attached to these heels, and your heels are not going nowhere.
But you see, you can aim it lower, you can aim it
Sure.
higher at the
But
heel. So
now I know that there is an anatomical reason why it worked. And I'll show you that. Okay.
it's just, I want to understand, if I look at, what we look now, and I say, okay, I will map my bars, and I
Okay.
just would like to understand the reason why I
Okay.
exactly doing
Okay.
hair.
You see this area right here?
Yes,
Right here?
yes.
That is where the true bar naturally ends in the foot. Okay. There's a little lump right here. If you run your hoof pick down here, you'll feel a little lump right
Mm-hmm.
here, a little indentation. This is where the bars naturally end. Okay. And so when the heels get shoved forward and everything, your bars can wind up clear up in here, smudged, clear up in there. Well, it's attached to this heel here. You're wanting the heel to come back. You're wanting the heel to straighten out. These bars stable, they're connected to the back of the coffin bone here. And they will stabilize this heel wherever they're at. If your heels are distorted and the bar, because the bar distorts with them,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then the bar, wherever that bar is going to hold your heels right there and they're not going nowhere. You can
But
try growing them in.
yeah.
It's structural. This is all structural engineering mechanics. Okay, how structures hold together and works. This is just a shell covering the foot. This is all temporary. Here today, gone tomorrow and stuff. But the inner foot is permanent. And so that understanding, knowing the structure of the inner foot and how this capsule is supposed to fit it, how the bars work. What are the bars for? Well, they're to stabilize this heel, to keep it from shoving forward. So when all this is trimmed out and when this is curled around and in forward, it bends all this bar corium and you actually have distorted, deformed bars growing and false heels. You have to create new boundaries. You have to get rid of the as much distortion as you can to give the foot a chance to pull this capsule back into alignment so that the foot can move and grow it all from a better position is what you're doing. See? And so, oh, let me undo this here. So, right here, if these heels were exactly where they're supposed to be, okay, now you can almost see it. Okay, this is grown up here. Okay, but these bars end right here. Okay, now you can see this minute. See, it's all about the anatomy. Everything I do is about the anatomy of the inner foot and where stuff is at. It just takes me some time sometimes to correlate what's out here with what's inside here. And how, like when you got everybody saying don't trim the bars, and you've been told don't trim the bars, or don't trim the frog, or don't trim the toe callus. Oh, but do trim the heels. You know, you're trimming everything that you're not trimming everything you should, and you are trimming what you probably should see. And so it takes time to overcome those mental blocks because when you don't know anything to begin with, and then you're taught falsehood, false hoof, um, well, that lodges in your brain. And so you have these errors lodged in your brain, and it takes time to overcome them and make yourself try to see and do something different. See, that's why that's why people want to get control of the schools. So they can brainwash your kids and make them believe their truth. See, if you can control education, you can control the world. That's how that works. So if you're taught the wrong thing to begin with and it's lodged in your head, the truth can be right in front of your face, but you're not seeing it. Okay. So then you have to go through that cognitive dissonance. and stuff where you have to be able to let go of beliefs that you've had, that may not be accurate. And this is especially true on these feet. Um, so being told all that stuff, it's taken me a long time to get so I would trim these bars down. As soon as I started really staying with it, the back of the foot started expanding. See? And so if I come in up to this heel and then these bars end right here anatomically on the inner foot. And there's this lump right here. Well, it's the coffin bone right here. It's the inside of the coffin bone right here that goes, round over like that. So, so now here's the thing. When you are restoring these feet, when they're really, really distorted and deformed, you have to keep things at a minimum. Now I see like Nina, because she trims for other people, she's in a harder spot than we are, you know, um, because she has to try and help these horses while at the same time trying to facilitate change in their feet so that their feet get better. So there's a real balancing act that she has to perform. I'm glad I don't have to do it. And to keep customers happy so you can keep a job while at the same time trying to facilitate hoof restoration, because where she comes from, well, where we're all from, they're trimming the heels out of everything, you know. And so restoring this stuff is something else. But I know that on my horse, he just gets better and better and better with every single thing I learn and apply, you know. Um, because what you're dealing with in these horses when they get really severe contracted feet is it's just like a big ingrown toenail. You ever seen those toenails that really curl in the sides and they got all that fungus and everything? So, so this bar is leaning up over onto the sole here. So this bar has to be just lifted off here so that it ends where it's supposed to. Um, and as you do that, it will help this side straighten out. What'll happen is, okay, and it doesn't hurt if the sole gets thick in here to roust some of that down, thin it out a bit because what you're gonna want to see is you're going to want to see this side get a little wider and this side get a little bit narrower so that it straightens out so that it's pretty much same sided, symmetrical. Are you there?
I'm just,
Hello?
yes, I just
Oh,
put
okay.
on mute so I don't disturb you.
Oh, okay. So, so that's what you got to do. You got to thin this out a little bit, bring these walls down, bevel this to the white line. And I'm not saying he might not get sore, okay? But you have got to start beveling this. Look at how thick that wall is. Okay? You have
Well,
to bevel this over to the white line so that wherever this is raised and distorted, where it's jamming up, so that wall can start relieving itself and pull down. Um, you aren't you haven't let me look at the side of the foot again. Just a minute. Clear.
and do I keep both heels the same height?
Yeah, sometimes you can take the medial heel just a little bit lower.
Well, you see, I was keeping the medial heel higher a
Yeah.
little,
Well, that'll make it worse. Okay? Because
because because the lateral was more of an upright heel.
Okay, well, let's look at that again.
Yeah.
There's always a exception to the rule. Okay, I must go the other way. Okay, so this is a medial.
Yeah. So this is more run forward. That's what I was telling myself, more run forward.
Okay. Hmm. Well,
But look at the bulb. Look at the
yeah,
bulb.
this is just a false heel.
So can you just, is the bulb smaller here rather than on the medial?
Yes, I do believe so. Look at that one. It's
Yeah.
more
But this
extended.
is more pulled, this one is more pulled down.
Well, it may look pulled down, okay,
Okay.
but but in reality, the bulb on this one is still pulled over and under and in.
It's more spooled, I would say.
It's more what?
Spooled, like inwards. It's
Yeah,
curled, more curled inwards.
yeah. And so this side made a false heel, is what
So
happened
this
here.
one appears higher because of that, because it's curled inwards and all
Yeah,
the bar is pushed inwards, whereas the other bar, sorry, bulb is actually pulled forward. Right.
yeah, yeah. See, because look at the
And the
horn
hairline,
tubules.
look how the hairline and the periople is more curved on this side.
Yeah, and you actually have a bigger bulb on this side, or bigger cartilage.
Yeah.
See, to where,
That's what I want to talk about more about how we can read this, because you see hairline, bulb shape, and it's very important when we look from the back to be able, looking at the hairline, to understand what is happening.
oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, I can see why this is a very confusing foot because you have false upright heel on this side.
And you came to the conclusion of the false heel because you looked at the bar and you looked at the heel itself on the solar view is curled in.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just chewing your words
No,
again.
you're right. And
Because I
stuff.
just want to set everything straight, so whoever is interested or have similar case understands where to look.
Yeah, this
And
one has actually more true heel and less constricted bulb
so can I ask you another
or
question? If
cartilage, not
Yeah,
bulb, cartilage.
cartilage, exactly.
Yeah,
And
see?
if we think about the internal foot, can we talk a little bit about that? What
Yeah.
we will, if we look at this side or at the medial, what we will see on the inside if we take the capsule off?
Okay, let's look at that.
Because it's like that's what also important to understand.
Okay, I'll show you here. Just a second here. Where am I at? What am I doing? Okay. Da, 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 da. Let me go look something up here. Okay.
I'm so happy we are talking about it. I just like to, this is so nice that we can just look, all of us, and like with you commenting and giving your thoughts. I'm so grateful. It's just this quality learning that I get excited about.
Oh, hey, and I'm learning as I'm going as well. Okay? Because this is a confusing foot.
It is.
All right? Um, so like I said, I got this little sign that says, "I'm no rocket surgeon." I thought it was kind of cute, brain surgery, rocket science, whatever. I'm no rocket surgeon. Um, okay, so let me share. All right, so your bulbs are independent. here, I'll show you this first. Let me go find another picture to look at the back of the foot. So you can see that they're independent. They move independently of
Yes.
one another.
But what I
Okay.
wanted to ask is on my feet, medial and lateral, that we can maybe draw on them to show where the foot, on which side, how the internal foot and cartilages are behaving, like which heel is more uh, bent, for example.
Okay. Well, the heel. Okay, so they can bend two ways. Okay, they can bend down like this. You see how this one's bent down?
Yep, yep,
Okay, but they can also bend to
inward,
literally twist inward.
inwards,
So
yes.
you have one that's bent down and one that's twisted inward. Okay, so let
So
me show you.
the lateral will be twisted inwards, and the
No.
medial will be bent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, then
Yeah,
my understanding is correct. Okay.
yeah.
But the
Um,
lateral one is more trimmed out heel, you saying? Yes.
yeah, maybe they're
Maybe they're
each
both trimmed out.
in a different, and they've just each responded in their own individual way.
Yeah, because it
You
it
know?
all it also depends on how, like there is a horse on top of the foot, right?
Yeah,
And he is a right-handed horse. So he will be holding the right front under him more.
yeah,
So like close to the midline. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. I want to
So
find
that's, yeah.
this other foot to show you the difference between pulled down and wrapped in. Okay. What we've been calling spooled, where they make a false high heel. Because it's pretty confusing, you know. So you have to, the thing you have to notice is okay, look here. You see this little nubbin here? That
Yeah.
is what grows your heel buttress. Okay. See, now this foot here, okay, it was off a horse that I trimmed for 8 months, and I was trimming the heels out of him, but didn't know it. And so he had actually fantastic feet. I came to realize years later. All right. So at that time, I didn't know how to take hoof capsules off. So I took it off in pieces. And so I took the frog off in one piece. See? So the first day, I got this foot here, and I had no idea that there was anything wrong with the coronary band or anything because I knew nothing, basically, names of parts. I packed this foot in salt and borax for a couple days, and that cartilage pulled back up to where it's supposed to be. Um, let's see here. Let me get an annotating pin. Okay, so oh, just a second. Okay, so right here is where the heel buttress grows, connected to the back of the heel here. Okay, I got some sort of disappearing thing going on here. It's magic. Huh. Maybe this will work. Just a second. I need a different color. Okay, so your heel buttress grows here. See how it would be growing forward? Yet the horn tubules here would be growing like that. See, but this will all push these and make them grow forward like so. So, okay, so after the foot had rested, because it had, and it may have done it anyway, what happened was it shrank back up to where it's supposed to be. Look where the nubbin is now. This is the nubbin that grows your heel buttress down from here. See that? That is your heel buttress. It grows from this nubbin back here. So your coronary band should not be curving like this. And this horse looked like he had heels. This horse, you didn't even really notice that you wouldn't have known the coronary band was doing this. He looked, he just had a smaller version of his foot, is what he had. He didn't have a hairline down to the ground or nothing. And so this is your heel buttress that grows from there. Now this is these hairlines, different things can happen, and each heel is independent. You could have a completely different thing going on with each heel, like what you have. You have one heel that's pulled, the hairline is pulled down at a slant, okay, and all the horn tubules run forward. The other heel, there is another type of distortion. Like here, you can see this nubbin here, but there's another kind that will totally wrap this around the foot and it won't even be there growing anything anymore. Well, maybe it is because it's wrapped around behind. So, just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to show you that, a picture of that. So hold on a second. Oh my goodness gracious. Now I just gotta remember where it's at. Hold on, gotta take a little drink coffee. Okay, now I remembered where it's at. Okay, so pictures, videos. I this is under spooled, so we'll go down here, spooled. OPQRS. Payload. Okay, well, now Molly's foot was this way, my mare, like this foot here. I'm gonna share. Okay, so you see this foot? Where'd the nubbin go? See it how it's wrapped around in
That's
towards the
quite
frog?
cool.
Huh?
That's a very good image.
Yeah. And see, my mare Molly was like this too. She did not have her real heel buttress. I didn't know that when she died, and I did a bunch of videos on her. But her real that nubbin there was wrapped around in towards her frog. See, this should be, see, this should come out like this, okay, so that it can grow this heel buttress connected to the heel here. See, you got this, the heel buttress. The heel buttress goes from the bottom of this nubbin. So it supports, and the whole, you see how it supports the back of this cartilage that would have been like this? So you got this big pillar of hoof wall, triangular. It's triangular shaped, and it supports the whole hoof wall. Without it, the hoof wall is just all over the place. It doesn't have the support. And so now this is wrapped, this that should grow this is now wrapped around in where your bar is, where the bar would have been. Because, okay, so you got this nubbin, the heel buttress nub, as I call it. Okay, so now that's wrapped. Well, this you can see it's wrapped down around and in where the bar is. So who knows what that's producing? Are we trimming bar that's really buttress? You know what I mean? Or is it just covered over and not growing at all? Because because right here, as you go around the foot on the other side, okay, from right about here is where the bar corium starts, that grows the bar. So once that gets wrapped around there, well, that bar is connected to the other side of this. So what's it doing to the bar? You know, so we're trimming bars that are all kinds of distorted and not the true bar. And we're just leaving them there for support. Well, what we wind up doing is leaving them there and never going nowhere with these feet because we've been told so many, oh, you got to leave those bars for support. Leave those. No, we don't want them bars to support a false heel. We need to lighten up the boundaries to give the foot an opportunity to move. You know, um, uh, anyway, um,
Linda,
yeah.
Linda.
Oh,
Hi,
hi.
everybody. May I say something?
Sure.
Speaking about bars and the heel buttress, if we imagine heel buttress like a column that supports the hoof,
Yeah.
I imagine the bar like the rope of an anchor, which is short when you see a boat with its anchor. It is short, but it supports the whole ship.
Okay. Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
can just imagine the forces. I mean, the bars look like something that support the column and the whole wall and the whole hoof, like an anchor on a ship.
Yeah.
And it is connecting to the coffin bone on one end and to the column of the wall to the other.
Yeah. And if you look at because see, I've been trying to figure this out for a while now, how a buttress on a building works, you know, and they'll have this bar as well. So yeah, it's anchoring that buttress, isn't it?
Yes.
That's a good analogy. Oh, okay. I got to take a like a 2-minute break here if you guys want to talk for a second to answer this phone.
Elena.
Hi, Angelica. I apologize to everybody that I kind of started to talk about my case, but it's I think it's quite interesting, like all of the hoofs. How are you, Angelica? Did the rain?
Yes, but you see how tricky.
What?
I'm fine. Anyway, you
Do
see
you
how tricky these hooves are. When I saw watching your hoofs, is exactly my right fore hoof
Front.
of Benenitra.
Exactly. That's
Then
it. I only have this distortion on the right front with him and the other horse.
and I never knew what was wrong with it because it
So you see?
seemed so nice and so yes.
Yeah, but I'm actually very selfishly glad that I asked Linda about this hoof.
Yes, everybody is happy that you did.
We all have the same
And
problems.
you see, there are, yes, and you see, there are so many small deformities that you're looking at, and you're sure there are none, but there is there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to spot all the deformities if you are not 100% sure of the image of the correct foot inside and out of the anatomy correct foot and hoof.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so
Okay,
many different little nuances and odds and ends. And um, what I've been seeing is that um, these feet adapt, 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 and have different versions of themselves. And so trying to find the true and final, what is the true version? What is the true foot of the horse? So that you even know where you're going, you know?
I was telling I was telling Elena that I had a foot, the right fore of Benenitra.
Uh-huh.
I was looking at it and it seemed perfect.
Hmm.
And she was lame on
Lame
this
on it?
foot.
Darn her.
And it was so similar to Elena. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it was so similar to Elena's
Uh-huh.
hoof. And we have, I mean, I had to discover what was wrong, chance.
Yeah.
And today also so many things
Yeah.
through Elena's problems.
Yeah, I know. We're all going through the same stuff, you know.
Mhm.
But as we come together like this, like I think we've learned more in these hoof chats. These hoof chats have been so beneficial, ironing out things, you know, seeing all the different kinds of distortions and things like that. Because we're all gonna experience a lot of these same things, you know. Okay, so where to go from here? Um, where do you want to go from here? Anybody? Okay.
Or that's that's it basically. I just wanted to have the idea how the internal anatomy behaves on both, like within my hoof that we were discussing,
Okay.
and what I should do. So I should just now I understand that I need to work on the bars, I need to control the wall, and I need to keep the heels leveled at the moment and just see how that develops basically.
Okay. And let's look at the spooling here some more. What happens to these heels? Let's take another look at this foot we just looked at. A different kind of look here. Just a second. Okay, where am I at? Share. Oh, here it is. So we can see what happens to the bars, you know, when that gets turned in like that. So here's the foot. Remember, it's supposed to have a nubbin out the back growing a buttress. Instead, now I wish I hadn't have marked on it like that because when I marked at it, I didn't mark it right because I found this a long time ago, and so I'm gonna now I can correct my own understanding of the anatomy here, and I'll show you something. Um, just a minute here. Let me get a annotate. Okay, so here is the bulb right here, right in here. Okay, and let me get a different color. I'll use white. Here is the heel buttress. See the shape of it? See, your heel is supposed to be out like here, down here, not there. Okay, and here is the heel buttress over here. So, so again, here's the bulb, or yeah, this is technically your bulb. That's all. It's not supposed to be any wider than that. And here's your heel buttress. See how They are literally curled in, pressing against the frog. This was a super contracted foot. And so this, like this right here in the center, let me get a different color. Okay, this right here, here's your frog corium. And it is squeezed together. And this right here this is not thrush. This is just where the bulbs are so squeezed together and the frog lips are so squeezed together that no frog stay can grow here and stuff. But people look at it and go, oh, he had thrush. No. His heels were trimmed out. They super contracted. It stripped the frog stay out and squeezed the bulb and the frog lips together. So he couldn't grow frog in there. And so you have, and we all have to a degree, a version of this. Some of them are wider, wider apart with a little wider frog, and we might have some frog stay in there. Okay, but you see, this is like the most severe, probably the most severe contraction right here. So just imagine if you could unwrap these heels to where they were back here, you know, instead of wrapped around into here. So just a minute here. Let me clear all that off. The foot naturally wants to do this. It's built to do this. The way it's built, it is built to do this. It is built to curl in like this. This second here. Okay, so this is a normal foot, which I marked it wrong as well. This is learn as you go. Okay, so now you see, defining where the actual bulb is, I marked this wrong because it's higher up here. But what I want you to see is how this part of the foot, okay, see the frog lips here? Okay, see how these have space in there where your frog stay grows right here? Okay, so this foot is just squeezed together. And of course, it did a lot of damage. That constricted, that hoof capsule did that to that. And when you lower heels on a continual basis, this is what it does. It keeps making, the foot will keep making false heel, and curling that heel in and curling it in and curling it in and get smaller and smaller. That's how heels contract. Now, look at this foot here. See how that'll just pull that around? And so that buttress that's over here is somewhere up in here. And this right here probably is, well, it might have some buttress on it, but its chances are it's just sidewall. That buttress is buried somewhere up in here, up next to uh the frog. So let's see. Here's an example of a
I
contracted.
have a question.
Oh, okay.
If you can go back to the previous picture.
Sure.
So, I mean, looking at that hoof, I would say it doesn't look like the heel is trimmed out, even though I know the hoof is deformed.
Mm-hmm. Which,
So,
this one here?
yeah.
Okay. It doesn't look like the heel is turned in? Is that
No,
what
it
you're
doesn't look
saying?
like it's it doesn't look like it's been trimmed out. Now, I agree
Oh,
that
yeah. Yeah.
is it just because over time it was deformed and had a false heel and just allowed to grow with a false heel?
Yeah. What happens is when you lower these heels, the the foot in, because the foot is made to stand up at a certain specific spot. Let me find an example of a foot. Just a minute here. Let's look at an inner foot, a good one. Try and find a good one. Where am I at? See, in
An
understanding what,
example, like a horse walking on their bulbs, you know.
yeah. See, so you either got horses walking on their bulbs, but see, they don't want to walk on their bulbs. And so what they'll do, let me find this example of a foot. Just a minute here. Inner foot. CD. GHI. HI. Okay. Okay. Screen sharing. Share. Okay, just a second here. Let me find a good foot. Okay, we'll just use this one. Let's see, share. Okay, so this was an anatomically correct foot. Okay, and see, all of this is cartilage up here. This is as much a part of your foot. Just a minute here. This is as much a part of your foot as what is below the hairline. So that's the whole foot right there. And so this is cartilage, and the heels are cartilage. All this is cartilage and soft tissues. And then inside of it, connected to it, is digital cushion, which is dense fat and fibrocartilage, whatever, but mostly fat. So we all know how fat behaves. When you press on it, what does it do? It pushes back, right? And so we know how cartilage behaves because our ears are made of cartilage, and our nose is composed of the same type of things in the foot. So it ought to be as plain as a nose in our face. Okay, so our nose made of cartilage and adipose tissue covered with skin. That's what you got here. And there's bone in it too. Okay, so that's basically what you got in the foot here. And so our nose, it has a specific shape and form and position. And so I can take my finger and I can start pushing my nose, well, either over to the side of my face or down. I mean, it moves all around. Well, that's the back of this foot. The back of this foot is that way too. The difference in this foot to our nose is we don't walk on our nose, so our nose does not need any support, to maintain its shape. But the back of this foot needs specific uh needs specific support from the way the hoof capsule grows from it to, like, okay, so your heel buttress grows here from the bottom of this nubbin. It grows from here, see, come down here, and then it attaches to the back of this heel, right there. It is attached to that. And so it supports this part of the foot up where it is supposed to be. And so this heel buttress has to have a specific length right there to also keep all these horn tubules growing in the proper place and angle. See, because this horn tubule up here and like inward, the part that's right here, it connects to the lamina, and then this grows, supposed to grow down at a certain angle till it gets right to here. And right here is where it is injected. The lamina of the capsule is injected with this yellow bio glue to connect it to the sole. And this is where you get your white line that's really yellow right here. And so this is connected to the sole, and then they grow down together. And so the reason like a lot of people don't have a clean white line in the quarters is because the heels have been trimmed out, the foot has been bent, and these horn tubules, instead of growing in alignment, because the only way they can grow in a specific alignment is if you have a specific heel buttress at a specific height, supporting the back of this foot exactly where the foot is supposed to be. And if you lower this at all, okay, down like so, well, it sets everything at an angle like this. And eventually these horn tubules that are right here, they become shoved forward and they disconnect and they start growing like this. And eventually they're going to push your toe forward and everything because you're lowering the back of this foot. Just a minute here. So this foot has one way only that it is shaped. I mean, every horse has their own foot, but they all got heel like that. Just a minute. So now you got to remember, it's this skin, the biggest organ on the foot of the horse is the skin that covers it, because this skin is directly connected and part of the whole skin of the horse that's up here. Now, whereas this skin here grows hair, this skin here grows the whole hoof capsule in one piece like a shoe. And so this skin, see, this is a big mistake made in anatomy, is they look at the tissue here as if it's just that. Oh, it's just tissue. They may call it corium, but they don't think of it in terms of as this is skin. Okay? As such, it is a covering. As such, it is a container. And so our skin is a container for the rest of our body parts. And it grows hair and I mean different things and warts on occasion. And so this skin is a container, and so you have to understand this foot within the context of it's the whole back of it here is made of cartilage and fat. You know, the only part that's bone is right here. All the rest, including clear up in here. Okay, well, you got a navicular bone and you got your short pastern bone in there too. But all of it is cartilage and fat. And so, as cartilage and fat, your nose wants to be in a specific position and shape. Well, so does this foot. And it's attached to the whole rest of the horse. And the way it functions is attached to everything on up, to the ligaments, to the tendons, to the joints and muscles, and I mean all that kind of stuff. And so when this horse, this leg wants this foot to be right here, period. Okay, that's anatomy. That's the way it works. Your heart is where it's supposed to be, working with every other part, the veins, the liver, the lungs, da 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 da. Well, this back of this foot is meant to be in a specific spot. This hairline is meant to be at a high angle. And all this cartilage up here and extended. And so what you see on a lot of these horses, you see cartilage that looks like this, because the heels have been trimmed out and it's reduced the size of the hoof capsule. And we just saw that foot where the nubbin here is totally wrapped around behind the foot. So, okay, so what happens is when you trim these heels low, okay, it pulls it pulls the back, it forces the back of this foot and the cartilage down into an unnatural position. And so cartilage, what does cartilage do when you push on it or you move it out of place? It pulls back, right? It wants to go back to where it is. And so between the fat that's connected to it on the inside of the foot and the skin and the cartilage and everything, you can lower the heels and you can think you need a hairline like this. But this foot and everything up here in the leg, all the, like the deep digital flexor tendon, well, wait a minute, that'd be more like this. Okay, everything in that leg and everything in that foot is pulling it back up continually. And so on some horses, you can trim their heels out. And if you're in a dry climate, that periople will get hard and thick and it will hold the foot down. But most of the time, especially if you got any moisture, what happens is this cartilage is going to pull up no matter what. Okay. And so as it does so, the leg pulls the cartilage up, but you've trimmed the heels out. It takes and it starts to wrap the heel around into here like that. And it creates, the hairline will raise up. Like you look at this, look at the coronary band. I want you to look at the width of the coronary band here. See the width of it? In a foot capsule that fits this, this is exactly how the capsule would be. You'd see the periopal skin right here, the periopal band. Okay, as the heels are trimmed out, what you will see as the heels are wrapped around, the capsule heels get wrapped around the foot and this cartilage raises up anyway, and then you'll start to see that periopal band widen like this. So you can always tell when heels are trimmed out when it'll be this width here, but then right here it starts getting wider. See, and so what happens then to this here? It gets wrapped around the side and the sidewall that's right here. Okay, this starts to get wrapped around the foot and pretty soon this part's gone. And you have a false heel that's like this because all this has been wrapped in that way. And so people look at the foot and they'll say, well, that horse has heels, but guess what? That's not his real heels. Okay. So, let's see. So see, we have an example of that. I'm gonna look at that example here real quick. Just a minute here, see if there's something else I need. Well, here's an example of a foot that did that. Oops, wrong deal. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, see this foot here? Okay, so that foot did that. That was from trimming the heels out. And this was, I can't remember where this gal was. Might have been Sweden. Okay. And this horse has passed away now because I was helping her in 2016 or 17. So what happened was the heels kept being trimmed out to try and make that one dead wild horse foot. All right. And then this gal bought the horse. This was probably Strasser trimmed. And so this gal buys the horse. She doesn't really know how to trim. And so she's not just continually lowering the heels and what looks like heels to her. She's not taking them off all the time. And so then they grew. And so, and because these horses will constantly make heel, because this horse had super strong cartilages and a very tight dorsal wall. So his foot did not fall apart. It just, the capsule just kept getting smaller and smaller, and he kept making false heel. See, and this happened to my horse too. I kept trimming those heels out, trying to get that 30-degree hairline, and he kept making heel, but he wasn't making heel. He was wrapping. Okay, let me explain something here. Just a second. Okay, so if I come in here, let me get a lighter color. How come that's not working? Just a minute. Okay, we'll use that. Okay, let's say I come in here and this is what I have, and I've been told I need to have a 30-degree hairline, right? So I'm going to take these heels clear off up to here. All right. Now, you see the amount of wall, how I've reduced the amount of wall right here? Well, that weakens this wall, and that pulls this cartilage and fat down to the ground. Well, the whole leg, all the tendons, everything is pulling it back up, and it's wanting to be back up. And so when it pulls back up, it takes this little part here and it pulls it around in that way, in that way. So then when I would come to look at the foot, it would have heel. You would think the heels had grown. Okay. But what it is this part is now uh, in view, you're, just a minute here. Let me get another pen. Hold on. Okay, so the cartilage here is now going to go like this. See? And it's going to make this higher part of the foot here the heel. This part will be the heel. This part's going to be wrapped around in like that. And so if I come and I trim it out again, okay, I trim it out again because it looks like it's grown. And so, you know, my bulb is right there. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to trim it low again. Like so. Well, then it's going to take this part. It's going to wrap this part here around behind it. And now it's really compressed this cartilage. It literally did that to this foot here. See, every time the heels were lowered, it got pulled back up and it took the sidewall here and it pulled it around in like that. And that's how it makes false heels. Because that cartilage and fat and the whole leg and the whole horse want to be at this elevation. This hairline wants to be up, not down here, especially on front feet. Because I have noticed where, you know, on the internal foot, let's see here, clear all my drawings. Let me find another deal here. Oh, to do. Okay, right here. Okay. Now I forgot what I was going to say. It took me so long to find that picture. God, I hate it when I do that. Anyway, this hairline wants to be at a specific elevation, period. Okay, now horses can wear their heels out, and in a desert environment, their feet can get bound down like that. But a lot of times, as I said, in a more moist environment, that periopal skin will give, and then the foot gets wrapped around behind, and then you develop these false heels like this. Let's see, what else? I mean, so anyway, so that's kind of what happens. That's how they make their false heels. So I was going to show you where we saw this happen in 4 days to a horse where a gal trimmed the heels out of a horse that belonged to a friend of hers. And because misunderstanding instructions or something, I was freaking out. I thought, oh my God, he's gonna blow his tendons. And so she took pictures for several days. Let's see, that would be in cartilage. Just a second here. Okay, let's look. Okay, share. Okay, so this horse had a foot just like, let's see. Well, this here. I'll show you this here. Okay, so this is a foot that I skinned. I took the skin off. Um, I took the skin off right here. Now, see the shape of the cartilage there? Okay, this is the shape of your cartilage. This is where your heels are, right here. Here's where the coffin bone ends, right here. And here's where your heel is, and your heel is cartilage. And so this cartilage is curved and rounded. It naturally wants to curl in like that because of its natural shape. See? So we'll look at this again. This I've extended. It is a little curled behind in general. But then when you're trimming those heels out and that foot keeps wanting to raise up, it does this. It'll just curve it right in, and see how much shorter it made it from here to here? See, this would have been the length of your foot. By the time you get done with your contracted heels and false heels, your foot is this long. And look at how the cartilage is rounded here. This is exactly what it does on the live horse, except, it also compresses the digital cushion and shoves it into the navicular bone and the coffin joint. And so actually in this picture is exactly what it does. You see how this foot, I got to tell you, it sets at a positive angle in the foot. When all the corium is on it, the sole corium is thicker at the back than in the front. Let me do this here. Okay, so your sole corium, okay, and it's pretty thick, but it's thicker at the back, like so. And so then if I had the sole corium on here and I was to set the foot here, guess what? This coffin bone is going to be at a positive angle. See? So let me undo that there. Okay, so again, this is
Linda, can I interfere? Somebody is asking, what do you mean by positive angle? We
okay.
have, yeah, and somebody, I don't know the name because it's anonymous on the list.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a minute here. Open with.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Jack. Hi, is that anonymous?
Yes.
Okay, I'll keep you that way. Let's
Thank
see.
you, ma'am. But accent, Linda.
Just a minute. Okay, it's gonna open here. Okay, let's see. Copy, paste. Hopefully it'll paste. Come on. See, I don't have enough oomph in my computer. Ah, there we go. Okay, positive. Okay, this would be ground parallel. See how it's flat? Okay, just a minute here. Let me put an arrow there. Okay, so we're gonna put an arrow here. This would be ground.
New share, Linda. New share.
Oh, okay. New share. Okay. Do you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so this would be ground parallel.
Yes, I do.
And so this would be positive. See? This would be positive. So when all the tissues are attached to everything, okay, it's got the skin on it and the coriums and everything, the sole corium that lays down here. Okay, this coffin bone sets in the foot with all the tissues on it at a positive angle, like this. And so what happens is you have people come along, take the coffin bone out of the foot and throw it on a table just like this and go, see there, their coffin bone should be ground parallel. Well, the only way you can make them ground parallel is if you trim the heels out and then crush the inner heel up and deform the foot to force it to be like this. And that's what trimming the heels out does. It crushes the heels and forces the bone to be ground parallel when it should actually be setting in the foot at a slight angle, like so. Just a minute. Like so. So this would be a positive palmar angle. They call this the palmar part underneath there. Okay. Like your palm, I guess. Okay. Positive palmar angle. This is ground parallel, and this is a negative palmar angle, like that. So when you hear them talk about, that's what they're talking about. And of course, the barefooters, due to Jamie Jackson and Hildred Strasser, you know, her trimming the heels out of everything, because she lived over there in Europe. There's a lot of writings on the foot, and there's been a big debate and argument and farriery and vet science and everything out for several hundred years over whether this bone should set flat or at a positive angle. And so a number of people just took the bone out of the foot, you know how they look when they're all bleached white and everything, threw them on a table and said, see there, they should set like that. They should set ground parallel. And then they did this, number 2. And of course, Jamie Jackson comes along with this one dead rear wild horse foot that wore its heels out. So that bone was deformed for one thing. There was much, the toe was worn off. The coffin bone is deformed in that foot. And and it was ground parallel because the heels were worn out. And so that them two fit, those two theories those two mistakes wound up fitting together, and they called that proof that the coffin bone should be ground parallel. And then they do this number. Okay, then they'll take a thing and they'll go down like this, and they'll say, oh, and the coffin bone should and the hairline should be at a 30-degree angle. Like, I don't know if I got quite a well, I see what I'm doing wrong. Wait a minute. I thought that looked kind of weird. Just a minute. Let me do it this way. Okay. I'm going to put you back like this. We're going to bring you down to there. And then we're going to take and we're going to do our arrow, which would be something like that. Then they'll do something like that and say, and your hairline should be at like a 30-degree angle. Say, real low, like this. Well, what would it do to this foot if I did that? See how it would deform all the cartilage and everything like that? Well, first of all, this here wouldn't be there. This would be totally curled into the foot and rounded off like so. Here. Like anyway, so that's the positive, negative, and palmar angle that they talk about. But as I said, you cannot take the bone out of the foot, throw it on a coffee table and say, see there? You know, how is that scientific? How is it scientific to take the bone away from all the rest of the tissues and say, oh, well, this bone has to set flat? See, because I did a dissection because I was really curious about a lot of this stuff. And so I did a dissection where I removed the sole corium. Well, and I did it in such a way that I found it that in the foot, this bone sets at a positive angle. I should show you that. See, but here's the deal. When all of the tissue is on the foot will set flat. But the bone in the foot that you can't see is set in the anatomy of the foot with all its parts at a positive angle. See, that's how that works. But they don't know that the horse has a foot inside there. They think it's this capsule here with this. They do not look at the tissues on the external part of the foot as skin. See? Okay, so okay, where are we at? What am I doing? I don't know. Let's see. Undo, undo, undo. Okay, let's go back. Let's see. Okay, so what we do, see, the sole view is the most deceptive view. Okay? It is the most deceiving view of all because as the foot distorts and adapts and gets its alternate versions of itself for survival, okay, like then the sole can look the same. It's just getting smaller and smaller, and you don't even realize it's happening. But if you always take the side views and look at the cartilage to see if it is extended or how rounded it is or where the hairline is, okay, then you can begin to guesstimate what is really going on with this foot or how much the heels are trimmed out, how much foot binding it may have, because the goal that we have is to see full cartilage extension with no binding at all. That's the goal. None of this. You see how there could be different degrees of this? And not only this, like, look, this piece is pulled down. They can literally just wrap in very evenly. See? So, lots of like that. There you go. So you'd have a foot this size. You see them all the time. You see feet all the time with no extension of the cartilage. Because as you saw, the cartilage is rounded and cupped. And then to the inside of it is stuck digital cushion, which is fat. So all that digital cushion gets compressed into there. See, here you can see how round it is. And here's a little bump. Okay, you always want to look for that little bump. When you see this little bump back here, okay, now this is a little bit curled in because it naturally curls in. Okay, but there's a little bump right here. You know when you see that little bump that your cartilages are getting close to being fully extended and anatomically correct. So look at the how much right here, the difference in the size of the foot that this can make. See? And so that's why when we look at these wild horses, like on all these advocacy pages, they have huge feet. Okay. See, we haven't been breeding the feet out of them. We've been trimming the feet out of them. See how small that would make that foot look? My horse's feet have increased in size, at least 2 sizes. So, okay, so here's that foot. So I went that other direction. So okay, this foot here looked like this foot here. This is the foot off of a wild adopted horse. Look at the extension of the cartilage here. Okay. All right. Now this foot here was like this foot, and then got the heels completely trimmed off of him. And this was an adopted wild horse too. How about that? So now I had her take pictures for 4 days, and you're going to see how this horse made his own heels, how all the pressure and the leg and everything wanting this foot to be here. See this here? It belongs here. That's just the bottom line. Okay. This is where the hairline belongs. This is where the cartilage belongs. It does not belong on the ground, and the whole body knows it. The foot itself and the cartilage and everything in that foot knows it does not belong here. Just as if you take your finger now and you press your nose clear over to the side of your face. Okay. First of all, it's going to affect how you breathe. It affects the function. Well, this is definitely going to affect the function when the foot is supposed to be like this. You have destroyed all of the suspension and the way that the foot works with the frog. So here is where the horse made heels. Now you can definitely see, I'm going to do some annotating here. Okay, I'm on that. Okay, so here we see, just a second here, that this bulb is clear down here. Okay, now we see it's up here. And now we see it's even higher. And it's made heel. See, how did it make heel? It took this sidewall here and it turned it into heel. As the cartilage stood up and was pulled up, it took this heel and it pulled it around behind it, and it made this part of the wall the heel. See it here? And so, and it did some other things too. First of all, look how straight, and that looks so uncomfortable, right? Look at how it started straightening out the bone alignment. See there? Now, another thing. Oh, there's that little bump. Well, no, that isn't that little bump. That little bump would be right here. This is this little part that's right here. It's supposed to be right here. It pulled it down so severely. So look at there. Now, look how it's shortened up. Okay, and even more so. And then you look at this little black dot here, how it changes positions. See, it's right here. Now it's clear back here. Why is that? Because it took all of this and it wrapped it around behind the foot so that it could make this longer part its heel and it could stand up. Now, here's another thing. Look at the distance from here to here. Okay. Now, I tried to make these all the same, the pasterns and, everything the same size. Look at how it's shortened up from there to there. This one's a little different, but you can see a definite difference, So anyways, another thing too is this was very smooth and now it's kind of getting a bump, which is what happens as all this anatomy is pushed into the foot. Well, it'll start pushing on the coffin joint, and then look what it did here. Okay, look how it raised up that area there, which is interesting. So that's how these horses make false heels. And that's what we all got on our horses to one degree or another, because most of our horses have contracted heels. Even the ones that don't look like they have contracted heels probably have contracted heels. Like, I never really thought of my horses having contracted heels until recently. And the only reason now I know is because I've looked at enough wild feet that are not contracted at all, to know that mine are still contracted. Now they're getting wider. Just a minute here. Let's see here. What else I got here? See, this just kind of shows it there. This is like over a 4-day period. See, and so put this together with that. Okay, so this is what these feet do. So how they pull in that wall to elevate the back of the foot. That's that same horse. I think that was before. This is the before, and this is after. I think this was I don't know if this was the same foot or another foot, but I want you to see how long his foot was here and how much shorter it is here. Anyways. Okay, so here, okay, here's the skin I was telling you about that I skinned from this foot because it's skin. Here's the skin of the leg. You can turn it into leather or rawhide. Guess what? Here's the skin of the foot. You can turn it into leather or rawhide. And you see the coriums here. You see the periopal corium and the coronary band corium and the lamina and the sole corium. And it was the hardest part to trim was the frog, to skin was the frog. See? So, let's see here.
Linda,
Yeah.
the skin can be of different qualities, like we have our lip skin or
Yeah.
our face skin.
Yeah.
It's different qualities, like
Yeah.
the part it belongs to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, and yet still skin. You know what I mean? It's still just skin. Only it just grows all the parts of the hoof capsule in one unit like a shoe. See, so if you're not factoring that in, and I'm sure there'll be some pay for groups out there after we do this webinar or after we do this Hoof chat. It'll be quick to add this because they come on here all the time and steal stuff and then go to their make you pay for their crap groups to add it in. I've been seeing them do this for a while now, and I'm like, you don't know that. You don't have the proof of that. You're just adding that because you're no talent. So, and you're money grubber. So that's the hoof care industry. That's what it's built on. Greed. It was built on greed clear back when the first vet schools were opened. And the head of the first vet school, Edward Coleman, there in the UK. Everything he did was built on his own greed and desire to make money and desire to be the one. He was always coming up with patents for shoes. And then he wrote a book. 9 years, guy had never shot a horse. Before he ever started running that school, he knew nothing about horses. 9 years in, he writes a book that became the answer all for every farrier and vet since then on how to shoe a horse and on the anatomy. And he's the one that got it established. Look at here. Okay, you see this right here. This is the lamina. The hoof wall starts here and it grows down and it attaches into these really sensitive leaves of lamina. And then it grows down, slides down where it connects with the sole right here, and then they grow to the wall. So in farriery and veterinary science, Okay. They say that the horse bears the weight of his whole body on this here. Did you know that? Well, some people have been here for a while know that. I want you to think about that. How stupid that is. How freaking stupid they are. Okay? You'd have thought that somebody before now would have looked at that and went, well, this is dark ages, antiquated crap. You know, but no, they haven't. This is skin on the side of the foot. How, see, so they carve out the sole ridge, they carve it out, and then they set the rim of the wall on a shoe so that it will transfer all the weight to the lamina. Of course, they got a hammer and nails on it, which again, I'm not against shoeing in general. Okay, they got a hammer and nails on it, holding everything together. But what they do is then they put these horses in constant inflammation because the horse was never meant to bear weight on this skin here. See? So, that's attached to this. What other animal on the face of the planet does not bear weight on the bottom of its foot? None. But by the time you get through the horse, they have so many antiquated, false, stupid, I mean stupid ideas that these
A,
evil
a
men,
snake,
huh?
a snake, Linda.
Yeah,
They don't have a foot, so they don't have a foot on constant ground.
no, but they're bearing the weight on the bottom, not on the sides. They're still on their belly. You know, Pretty sure a snake came up with all these ideas.
Maybe,
Yeah, well, these people were snakes. Okay.
maybe a bird. Bird hardly lands.
Well, but a bird, when it lands, it's still bearing the weight on the bottom of its foot. Okay, so quit being a devil's advocate.
Don't call me that.
Sorry. Okay, so this is what they all believe. All you got is laminar suspension, they call it. They say the coffin bone is magically suspended within the hoof and bears the weight on the lamina. See? So it's a stupid, wicked, evil profession. Now that doesn't mean all the people are necessarily stupid, evil, and wicked, but the traditions and the teachings that came out of those first vet schools are stupid, wicked, and evil, and have been torturing, maiming, and laming horses for centuries. See? So, okay, so here you see. Now, if you were to look at this foot, you would think, well, look, it has a 30-degree hairline and the bulbs are on the ground. Well, what you'd be looking at here would be just a skim of a sole. You only want like a fourth of an inch of sole under your foot. What you need to know is that, first of all, I've taken all the digital cushion and everything out. So you've just got the shell here. And so as soon as you take these feet out of these capsules, the back, because remember I was telling you that the heel buttress supports the back of the foot up where it's supposed to be. Well, see, once you take the capsule off, the back of the foot falls down. Now, not every single time, but a lot of time, especially in this foot, because a lot of the innards are gone, then the back of the foot will just relax down. That doesn't mean that you could look at this and go, oh, well, see there? Let's put Jamie Jackson's one dead wild horse mare foot that wore heels out up there. And look, they look just the same. See, there's no understanding behind that to understand how the back of this foot will just fall down and stuff. And when you trim the heels out, it forces it down. See, now here you can see this, if I would have been able to get the whole skin, you would know that the back of this foot was up here. Plus, before I did this, I have pictures of it, of what it looked like. So, okay, so here you see, this gives you an idea of how much well, there's a bone right here, the short pastern bone. But all of this, every other part is soft tissue. That's why these heels can contract and the whole foot can shrink up and be a smaller size. So, okay, so here's an example of a 4-day, was it from the 20th to the 24th, a 4-day experiment I did to where I trimmed out between the bulbs and the frog, what you would call the central sulcus, which that's another story. I don't. Okay, so here you see how a foot can change when the foot is unbound and gets moisture. So this is on the 20th or the 21st. Foot was kept wet, cleaned out I cleaned out what you would call the central sulcus and between the bulbs extensively. And then you can see how the foot changed. Now see how the cartilage, how it extended. The problem was the one boot I had that I was doing the experiment with broke, so I had to end my experiment. It was in the winter. And then what I found out later was also when you're unbinding these feet, that whole frog has to move. Because when the foot, and I trimmed out my heels for years, and all of this got pushed down and it pushed the whole frog corium up into the foot and forward. The whole frog corium has been shoved way forward in the foot. And so when these bulbs start decontracting and the cartilage starts extending, well, that whole frog has to move back as well. And so when I did this, I had no frog movement. I didn't even know it was supposed to do that then. And so even though my cartilage is extended like this, because the frog was still stuck way under here, the frog corium, then as soon as the foot dried out, it just pulled the cartilages back down. But this gave me an idea of how the foot could extend and how it was supposed to be. And you'll see it in the wild horses. They're huge. They have huge cartilages out the back, huge foundation to the back of the foot. See? Let's see. Okay, there's that bump. Well, no, that's not the bump. That's this little bump here. You'll see. You can palpate. There's a little bump right here that we can't see on this one. But okay, so remember that I was telling you that the coronary band is only a certain width. Okay, so this horse self-trimmed most of his 8 years. He was put down due to blindness. He lived in a 40-acre sod pasture. Okay, and so you see the width of the periopal band. That's as wide as your bulbs are supposed to be. The reason they call them bulbs is because when these heels get trimmed out and this part of the foot gets pulled down like this and you've trimmed out the heel, and when it wants to pull back up and the growth of the periopal skin and the stretching will wind up, you'll see horses with, just a minute here. Let me get an annotate. Okay, so you see that this is only this wide. This is actually your bulb. It shouldn't be much wider than this. Okay, that's your coronary band going all the way around there. And of course, you're going to have that nubbin. This is the foot I showed you the nubbin on. This is the foot with the capsule on. Okay, and so it's got this much heel buttress right there. And so what happens is that when the heel gets trimmed out and this gets pulled down, you got to use your imagination. This gets pulled down. Well, guess what? It's pulling up continually. It's pulling up. As it's pulling up, the cartilage is wrapping around this way into the foot. It's making false heel out of this part of the foot here. And it's also stretching this bulb skin so that it will stretch it to where instead of, you see how it's almost the same depth? Now it starts getting wider like this. And you'll wind up with bulb skin that looks like this. It takes up the distance you should have had heel. See? Wait a minute. Okay, it will do. Okay, so if my heel was here and that went in and this is down here, well, anyway, what it'll do is it will stretch the skin to where you have bulbs like this wide, periopal skin, and then a heel only just a little bit long, like that. Now this horse had correct heels and everything, so from just trimming himself. Okay, so I mean, look at that heel. And again, here's your bulb. Here's your heel. And what happens is a lot of times the frog will attach to the heels. You should have frog about this thick as well, and the frog will attach to the heel all the way down. And so if somebody was to look at the bottom of the foot and look at the heel point and the frog, they would think that this horse had low heels. Because when the frog skin attaches to the side of the foot from below and behind, and then the frog is, well, in the center from up here down in, it'll be about 2 inches, and then you'll have a good inch depth of frog on each side connected to the heels. And so when you look at that foot from the bottom, you're going to see the heel point right here, and you're going to see the frog right there, and you're going to think, oh, look, it has low heels. See, so people make this mistake all the time. Like with endurance riders, okay, who like over in Africa and different places, they never trim their horses. They have this kind of a foot, but they don't know it because they don't know the anatomy. I need a drink. Just a minute. I've seen this multiple times with these people. They say, yeah, my horse, they endorse barefoot trimming, saying, well, yeah, my horse has a foot like that. And so they endorse this barefoot trimming with trimming the heels out because they think their horses have low heels. But their horses don't have low heels. Their horses have correct feet, and it will be disguised like that with a low heel. It's not like Jamie Jackson's One Dead Wild Horse that's like this. See, that's way different right there. So let's look at some wild horse feet here that show anatomically correct like this. Let's see, where am I at? Okay, just a second here. Okay, hold on. Start with these guys here. Okay. Let's see, share. Okay. So people look at the bottom of this foot here. Now I know these are blurry up here, but I couldn't get them any better in enlarging them. So you're gonna have to look at this small one here and see. Let's see here. Annotate. Do red. So here's his heels. Right here. They're very, very wide apart. They are not curled in really at all. And here is his frog. Okay, and this is the bottom of his foot, the frog, but this frog goes it's attached to the heel all the way up here, at least 2 inches. See, here's the bulb would be up here, not very wide. See? The bulb would be like that. And then the frog, this is the horizontal part of the frog under the foot. This is the vertical part of the frog above. Okay, and your frog stay is right in here. Right in here. This would be the part you see behind the foot. That's this part up here. See it? That's behind the foot. This is under the foot. And here's your heel right here. This frog here is attached to the heel. And this shows you the correct placement of the frog, which is up behind the heel. And you can't trim that into it. That is something you have to grow into it. If you start taking your heels back to the widest point of the frog, then what you're going to do is have exactly what we've been talking about. How the heels, these heel points here, they'll start turning in like that. And so this frog stay is 2 inches from up here down to here. And then you've got at least 1 inch and 3/4 of frog thickness here that's next to this heel. Well, his heel is right here. Wait. This heel goes clear up here. There's his heel. Clear up here. And so this frog attaches to the heel, and so you can't tell. You'll see a frog level with the heel practically, and so you think the horse has low heels. If you do not understand the whole anatomical apparatus of the back of this foot. And so, just a minute here. So this horse here lives next to a river and a desert. And these horses spend half the day in the river. So much for the false teaching that wild horses don't like water. You know, that their feet fall apart in water. Well, if their feet are really bad and they got in a lot of water for a long time, they would fall apart if they'd wore their heels out. And so this foot is in a little drier place, but you can see the anatomy. You can see that the heel is long and the frog is thick, but yet the heels don't totally curl in either. And you can see the nice sole ridge here. And people ask me about the bars. Well, what about the bars? Well, there's wall that grows in front of the bar that can grow up to look just like bar, but is not bar. That's all I can tell you. Next time I find some, I will show it to you. So now this foot here, okay, now if you look at this foot here and this foot here, do you see how much the same they are? I want you to see how wide these frogs are compared to what we're used to looking at. Why is that? Because all of our feet are contracted to 1 degree or another. See, our heels don't quite usually do that. We see, this is not bulbs. This is frog. This is all frog. See, it is not bulbs. It is not periopal skin. It is over an inch on the sides and 2 inches in the center where the frog stay is. It is frog. And so this is the true foot of the horse. This is a real frog. They're supposed to have wide heels, big long foot, long extended cartilage, and lots of frog like that.
Linda, in
Yeah.
our horses, exactly. That's this previous photo. No, the previous one. You just no. Here, yes.
Okay.
No, not this. The next one you put.
This one?
Here, yes.
Okay.
In our horses, the domestic horses, when the frog is so large and so wide backwards, you see that the whole wall and the bars get wider.
Yeah.
It's not the correct
Yeah.
shape.
Yeah, right. That's a false wide.
On
See,
the
'cause
wild horses hoof, yes.
yeah. So the heels are trimmed out on this foot, but instead of contracting in, instead they just followed the shape of the foot and went wider. So you have the false foot too. See, for
Yes, because
everything,
the previous photo, the wide ones, has this kind of frog, but it's different.
it's
Here,
different.
you
Yeah.
see,
Yeah, it's
the
different.
whole hoof is more how do we say? It's more compressed.
Compressed.
It's not compressed. No, I'm not using the correct word.
Contracted.
Is
No.
heavier.
Compact.
No. The opposite of contracted.
Oh,
Compact.
okay.
It's robust in this
More
hoof.
in
The
this
next
hoof here.
photo, this is like the hoof is splashed to the ground.
Yeah, see, this one here is a simulated,
We are not
of this one.
we are not looking for. No, I want to say that we are not looking for a wide frog at the back of the hoof only.
No, we're looking
both.
for anatomically correct. Yeah.
Yes, because this one is not correct.
No, not at all. And stuff. This foot here, see see why these feet deceive you? Because the feet we have been looking at and discussing, when the heels are trimmed out, they contract and curl in like that. But it didn't do that in this foot. And in these kind of horses, it often doesn't. Instead, this is see the shape of the foot. Okay. Instead of curling in, okay, as the heels were trimmed out, the false heel just came forward and followed the shape of the foot. See, it followed the shape of the foot and it pulled the frog wider and wider on each side as both heels went forward. They didn't contract. Instead, they pulled the frog wider apart. See, so
it's totally different from the previous photos of the wild horse.
Yeah, it's not the same, but people will look at it and think it is, because they don't know. And then if you were to look at this side view of this horse, you would see his cartilages are not extended at all. See? And so you would know that this is not real. This is not the real foot. And so this is a simulation where I just took parts and manipulated them to show how the foot should extend and get larger and longer. And the frog should get, somewhat narrower. But in this foot, that whole frog needs to be totally revamped to where it pulls way, way back up behind the heels that will be restored. So let's see here. Let's see.
We need to be very careful about these things
Yeah,
and to distinguish the correct from the incorrect.
yep. Oh, hold on there. I gotta see something. Okay. Just a second. I'm just looking for something. Just a second. Okay, so here's an example of this is front feet where the heels have been trimmed out, and you see how stretched the bulb skin is all the way to the ground. This is your David Landerville trim that this gal is trying to do, and that she's already been totally brainwashed. You can't talk any sense into her, but maybe after a horse stays crippled long enough, maybe. So these are the back feet. A lot of times the back feet are easier to set on their bulbs than the front feet because they actually have many times less depth of the actual internal physical heel. But what I want you to see here is how the bulb skin will stretch because the cartilage wants to be up here. And this is like big warm blood. And then the heels are completely trimmed out of it. And she is trying to set it on its bulbs because she's been told that this builds up the digital cushion. So we already know that let me see here, that this bulb skin, you see how wide it is? It's only supposed to be this wide. So, how much information you got going there, and then a little. Because the foot wants to be up here, so it pulls up, and then the skin either grows and allows it to raise up, or it just stretches it. And what can happen is when you'll see the foot literally just erupt out of the back of the capsule. Look at this foot, this wide. See where they get the term bulb? See, that's where they get it from distorted, deformed feet. Okay. So, just a minute here. You know, you would think that they have so many horses with hoof problems. You would think that they might go back into the teachings of these first vet schools and re-examine some of the garbage that came out of them, you know. But see, it's all about pride and ego and academics and higher learning. You know, my God, we can't have anybody thinking we were wrong about something now, can we? They will never trust us again. Well, I'm wrong all the time, but there are people that trust me because they know that I will tell them if I find out I'm wrong. You know, why can't we just be like that? Well, yeah, okay, I was wrong about that. That's what science is all about, is being able to see when something's wrong, you know. So anyway, so let me see here. Anyway, here's a false version of that as well, like you were talking about. Okay, how do we know this is a false version? Because it could look like the genuine version. Well, just a minute. Because it ain't going to have no heel. Just going to have a little bit of heel, and the bulbs are going to be pulled under the ground and on the ground, and the hairline's going to be low. But then you can have those feet that don't have a hairline and have your fake false heels that seem to be high heels. It's just sidewall on the side. Okay, and you see this concavity? That's false. Because as the back of this foot is pulled down like that, it bends the foot in the center and it produces a false concavity. Because we know that the foot is supposed to have a sole ridge around here, not just concavity. That's another teaching that came out of the first vet schools, was that horses' feet are only concave. They don't teach that they have a sole ridge. Let's see here.
Linda, you've talked about how when the hoof is contracted like that, that it squeezes the hoof capsule and creates an arch that a lot of farriers think should be there.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. It'll create an arch right here. And it's so common that they think it's part of the anatomy. Like in equine podiatry, they got a picture of a foot that's had the heels trimmed out and the coronary band pulled all the way down. And then the foot has an arch in it. Like they've got an inner foot, a picture of an inner foot. And they have this theory called something arch theory and stuff. Well, Bracy Clark said, who was one of the first vets, and one of the first people to really do extensive hoof research to try and learn the truth. He said that the eye soon gets used to deformity and does not discover it, doesn't realize it. He said, this fact deceived me in all of my first experiments, as it did my predecessors also. And so he's saying, I was looking at deformed feet and didn't know it. So I looked at them and I thought that's the way the foot should be. And this is what they're still doing today. They're looking at deformed feet. It's so common to trim the heels out and bend the foot. You bend the foot, you're going to get an arch here. It's so common they think that it's part of the anatomy. And they do this a lot. They take distortions And they make it part of the anatomy because the distortions are so common because they're trimming to try and obtain frog pressure is destroying these feet and doing this very stuff that we're talking about, trimming out the heels, pulling all the bulbs down. You know, see, their trimming is the cause of every single foot disease. Can be, is 9 times out of 10. You just can't force a foot to be something it's not and not get consequences, you know? Okay. Well, anyway. Yeah, what a this, you know, Bracy Clark wrote his book Hippodonamia. It's a big long book about all his experience in dealing with all the falsehoods like frog pressure and other things that came out of the vet schools that he practiced himself because he learned that in vet school. But then, after so many years of trying to understand why all these horses had contracted heels, he came to understand that it was due to Philip Lafosse of France in 1754 coming up with the frog pressure theory that horses should walk on their frogs, that you should lower the heels till they had frog pressure. And so he discovered that. But the thing was, when he wrote his book, he had a very, very hard time describing this horrendous situation that out of the very schools that were supposed to be developed for the advancement of the health and welfare of the horse, these horrendous beliefs and teachings were coming out and filling up the whole world. And it is as bad and worse today. Thanks to barefoot trimming. See, now people say, oh, barefoot trimming. Horses can go without shoes, which we would call barefooted. Okay. But what is called barefoot trimming is a specific method based on a specific bunch of ideas and beliefs on how to trim and what the foot should be like. Should have a flat palmar angle and a 30-degree hairline and bulbs on the ground and low to no heels. Okay. So that is the belief, and that is the image that's been put in everybody's head. That is what barefoot trimming is. It is related to what was falsely called natural hoof care, a term hijacked by someone what it is, it's not natural at all. Natural would be the foot being what the foot is supposed to be. It's not natural to try and force the foot into being the hind foot off of one dead wild horse that died in 1986 in a BLM roundup. Not even the front feet. He's taken the hind foot and made it the poster child, the centerfold model for all of barefoot. It all goes back to that one horse's foot and that one man's ideas. And so you have a lot of people out there, they have no idea where any of this really came from or the history of it. See, all natural hoof care goes back to Jamie Jackson and then by extension to the German vet Hildred Strasser. Those two got together and marriage was formed in hell for the horse because they what do you call it when people support one another? There's a word for it. I'm always lacking on that word. Confirmed one another, or
Collaboration?
well, yeah, collaborated their ideas. You know, she believed in a ground parallel coffin bone. She trimmed the heels out of everything. And he had found that one dead wild horse foot that wore its heels out to fit his theory. And so them two met up and woo moo. Natural hoof care just went poof, see, over the world, especially because social media is coming up, you know, and stuff. And so that made it go everywhere. So it was first called the natural trim. Then it was called natural hoof care. Then it was called natural barefoot trimming. Then it just got shortened to barefoot trimming. And so all these groups, all of them that you see on Facebook, you go back to that, them two, and their beliefs. It all stems from them. And if you ever notice, you get on these hoof groups and people have been trimming for a long time and their feet are just horrendous. See, like me, 9 years. 9 years I did that trim. And finally, you know, I remember the last trim I did when I went to trying to get that foot, that one dead wild horse foot that I've been told is what we're supposed to have on every horse. And that my horse leaned back and I thought he acted like I cut his foot off. I was like, I was like in shock at the way he responded. And so that's when I gave up. Said I believe in the concept of the trim based on wild horse, but what Jamie Jackson put forth that every horse should have was not the true foot of the wild horse. That was on a mare who was probably old and wore her heels out. And this is exactly what this person here trimming this horse here is trying to put on this horse. That foot. Pulling that hairline down, you can see this hairline curled down. So you can see it curled down. The bulbs are being pulled under the foot here. The whole frog is being shoved forward. The foot is being bent in the center right here, and it's producing a false concavity. So anyway. Trying to think. Okay. Anyway, anybody else got anything to say? See, there's a rush. There's a rush for everybody and their dog to have an online class to make money off of you people. It's an epidemic. Everybody wants to have their moment of glory and fame at your expense, you know, because this whole profession, from its inception in the first vet schools with Edward Coleman and with Claude Bougeret over in France, okay, it's all based on ego and greed. It was birthed. It was birthed into error, ego, and greed. And so that is the hoof care industry. You know, see, if they knew how they were really destroying these feet, you would say that, man, this is the biggest racket there is. Okay, just like a mechanic, how a mechanic will come and destroy something in your engine and then tell you, oh, you need a new engine. so he can charge you. The money that people are forking out to these people is ridiculous out of desperation. Desperation. So you have these teachings that are crippling these horses, okay? And then you're being given excuses for why your horse, oh, well, it's diet. Have you tried some herbs? You know, nothing wrong with diet, but all these lameness issues are not diet related. They're human related. And it is teachings that we have inherited. And then new ones that arose through the falsely so-called natural hoof care movement that is not natural at all. You know, but at this time and in the 80s, boy, say the word nature. Gosh, you know, that's when they were creating stuff like, I can't believe it's not butter. You know, well, it's not butter and it'll kill you. You know, margarine. Um, you know, the big push for the nature stuff. You know, uh, uh, just taking so much taking advantage of people. You know, the prices that these, it's okay to have a business and charge for things, but man, the prices that these people charge people, it is, I don't know what a word for it. Well, it's horrendous. It's horrendous that they take advantage of people who are hurting, horses who are hurting, you know. Just can't wait to get on there and make that money, do that online class. You know, I started doing webinars um back in 17, I think, because I couldn't just teach each individual the same stuff. I was helping all these people and I just had to explain the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. So I thought, well, I'll do a webinar so that then I can just send people to that and that'll be it. I'll be done with it. Well, that didn't work very well. Just a minute. Anyways, maybe I'll make some money someday, a little bit, if I eventually write a book and you have to buy the book, you know. But I guarantee you, if I ever write a book, I don't want to have to come back and say, oh, sorry, I was wrong about this. And if you did it, well, you probably killed your horse. See? So get people, once they write a book, once they start charging you for stuff, then get them to go back on anything that they have said. You understand what I'm saying? You're not gonna find hardly anyone who's gonna say, oh, well, we made a mistake. You know, that's why they taught all this bad stuff in the first vet schools. Yeah, get these colleges. Now they've been teaching the same garbage for 250 years to say, oh, we made a mistake. They're not going to do it. See? But here's the thing. Eventually, the truth will win out. As we come to understand the foot of the horse more and more and what needs to be done to it, okay, in order to restore it and get the true foot, okay, we're going to have more and more success stories. And all these wild horses, now they're showing that their feet are nothing like what the barefoot movement claims they're like. So all of this is going to work to our advantage. We may be slow out the gate. I like to think of us as that horse that won the Kentucky Derby. How he's way behind, you know, and he come from way behind to pass everybody and wound up winning. See, I just want the horse to win. These animals, man, they are so wonderful, you know. This is the last thing, these faithful servants deserve. It's the last thing, you know. So anyway, that's all I got to say for today. Before I say something else, get in trouble. Get sued for slander. Because I said, yeah, that's what like when on my other page there, the community page, years ago, several years ago, it was like 2017 or something, when I first realized that Jamie Jackson and that one dead wild horse foot, which I had pasted on my notebook and tried to get for years on my horse, that it was off one dead wild mare that wore her heels out. And so I said so on in a post I did. Man, I'll tell you what, this lady, Jill Willis was her name. She's like Jamie Jackson's right hand gal. Okay, in the ANHHIP whatever. She wrote me the nastiest note. She said, how dare me, and if I didn't recant and remove that, they were going to sue me and everything else. You know. Well, I didn't recant it, and they never sued me. So there you go. Because he ain't gonna, because he knows it's the truth. See, he's got that one foot that he made all his decisions on what a foot should be. One dead wild horse's foot. So, with no heels. So, and if that's not the truth, then where are the pictures of all the other horses? The 1,000 feet that you measured, photographed, that you, yeah, measured, examined, and photographed. That's what he claims. How come we can't see any pictures? I was reading a deal. Why aren't these people showing us any pictures that claim that they did all this research? Rick Redden did the same. Well, I looked at over 1,800 feet. Well, how come we can't see any pictures of those feet? Why for so? Gene Ovanek, he showed a lot of, I've seen a lot of his pictures here. We'll look at his pictures. Just a minute here. Share. So Gene Ovanek did research in Wyoming and he took pictures. Now, the reason the foot's black is because he painted the foot and then he put a board on the bottom of it to see where it was bearing weight. And the reason he did this is because of what they learn in farriery, that the horse does not bear weight on the bottom of the foot, that the horse bears weight on the sides of the foot, the lamina. So you carve the sole out to set only the rim of the wall on the shoe to transfer the weight up onto the sensitive lamina leaves. Okay, so he researched wild horse feet for 2 years, 2 seasons with BLM in Wyoming and Montana. In 1986 and 87, Jamie Jackson said that he did his research with BLM in, well, first he said it was 1984 and he only did 107 horses. Then after 10 years and he got popular, he changed it up to 250 and 1,000 feet and 2 years, 1984 or 1983 and 1984. Yet he has not one picture in his first publication that had 3 editions, The Natural Horse. You got to research the researcher. You know, just because somebody comes along telling you I did such and such, whatever, better research it. Did they really? Okay, so these are the pictures of of the horses that Gene Ovanek. Just some of them. I know he's got a lot more. I got these off his videos on YouTube. And of course, this is the first time I was ever introduced to a trim back in 1987 or 8. Where there was a guy that trimmed that he learned to shoe from Gene and traveled with Gene. And he told me about this trim based on wild horse feet. So because I have been around wild horses, the penny dropped, people, and it's never undropped. Even even when I gave up in 1914 trying to get that wild horse quality foot, the penny had dropped, and so I wound up coming back to it. And these horses can show us not every foot, but in large, they can show us the true anatomy of these feet at their best. Here we go. You notice, do you know what this is? This is a farrier's gauge right here. So he used a farrier's gauge to, he painted the bottom of the foot. He put a board on it to see where are they bearing weight. And then he took the dorsal wall angle with the regular farrier's gauge, hoof gauge. All right. And so here's the thing about the difference between him and Jamie Jackson. You don't see any pictures. And he said that he told the wranglers at the BLM corrals in Litchfield, California, that, I'm sorry, boys, but I'm going to have to go to town because my regular farrier's pasture gauge is just not going to work on these natural hooves. That's how I got out of there, after being scared spitless, most likely, because you get around. Let me tell you what, this is not a nice, pleasant thing to see horses roped and thrown down. Okay. And to get up there and then put this on their feet and do all this stuff. They're not just laying there passively. See? And so Jackson says he endangered his life to get these. So he had to go to town and get some signs like, no trespassing and for rent. Okay, and for sale signs that they sell, those plastic signs. Seeing as I knew math and I was good with angles, I went to town and I went to the hardware store and I got me some plastic things and I invented my hoof meter reader, which is this little thing. It's no way. I'm just going to tell you, no way did he throw a clipboard under that foot and put his little hoof meter reader on there and get his face down there trying to figure it out. See, the point is, this works just fine. So don't tell me regular farrier's hoof gauge will not work on a wild horse hoof. But these are just contradictions. In one man who claimed to do research, who has us all trimming the heels out of these horses. So there's some more wild feet of Gene Obenix. There we go, using the farriers in the other direction, my God. Using the regular farriers hoof gauge that won't fit on the natural foot, There's another one. There's another one. Oh, look. Now, see here, this is interesting. This horse, he's wearing out his heels and it's pulled the back of his foot down. Okay, it's literally bent the capsule. So what's he doing now? He's breaking this big chunk out of his foot. You see that? I'm going to show you a picture of
He made a
something.
notch.
He did make a notch, didn't he? I'm going to show you a picture of another notch. Now, I trimmed my gilding and I put a big notch in the side and I didn't get a picture of when I did it, but I got a picture of later and the notch is still there. So I'm going to show you what happened. Let's see here. Let's see. V for Valor. Oh, okay. Okay, this has only been a couple weeks, I think. Well, I put the date on there, so we'll be able to see it. Okay, so this is footy hurt. Okay, so I've been really trimming the frogs. And so I put this big, huge, humongous notch in it. All right. And it was kind of by accident, because I had the foot up and I had the nippers and, I took a little more than I intended. But look, it's no different than this deal here. Just a minute here. Where are we at? Ain't much different than that, is it? See that? They do that so they can straighten their heels up again and bring their heels back. So I'll put this big giant notch in the side. And look what it did. Stood my whole foot up. See, I was letting this toe grow out. Well, I did trim the toe down some. Okay, you can see where the line is there. Okay, so you can see kind of where I had taken the toe down some. But look how it stood the foot up. And that notch, along with trimming the heck out of the frog, because see, this frog is still bound under here. So gradually his whole frog is moving back up where it should be, up behind the heels and between the bulbs. And so it's been constant wet here. Now look at the periopal band. You see the width of it going all the way back? See, it's about the same all the way back. Now here's where his whole cartilage was torn off. And here's the bottom of the foot, because remember I'd said their heels curl in, right? So I've had a problem. Now, when you never trim bar and you let all this fill up with sole, you think you have good heels and a good foot. In reality, you've got curled in heels and you've got a false bar and sole. You've got an alternate version of the foot. So gradually this whole frog has been moving back and the bulb's coming out, and I've been working to get these heels uncurled. And plus his foot was very asymmetrical, very much wider over here. It's already straightened out somewhat here, but look what that notch did. See, that notch totally corrected this side of the foot, and the bulb, see how the bulb is kind of pushed forward here? This bulb came back and the foot stood up. And now this over here is where I was sharing how on the side where his foot got hurt, he cracked the whole heel practically off. Now he was never lame on that foot, even though he tore half his cartilage loose and put a big, huge crack in this foot. What happened was this whole side of the foot was run forward and pushed out. When he did that, the foot came in and the heel came back. Go figure. So I thought, well, what if I just made a crack, kind of a simulated crack over here on this side of the foot? And so I have this little coping saw, and I just sawed into the heel buttress right here with that to make this little crack. And what happened was then this bulb and this heel moved back, but this piece here became like a prosthetic. Okay, it weakened the heel enough that the heel could be pulled back, because remember, this whole foot wants to go back to where it's supposed to be. And so if you can release certain things, it will do that. That's what the notch did. That's what, when he cracked his own heel, the whole bulb, everything came back. The heel came back. In fact, then this heel was further ahead. It used to be this heel was back more. And this one was more forward. And so when he did that, then this bulb came back and that bulb was forward. But when I put it's a shallow cut. It's not all the way totally through. The shallow cut here, okay, it allowed the horse to retain the height. Because, see, you have to have height in the back of these feet or they will keep contracting. Because that foot is meant to be elevated up in the air. And that's why people shouldn't get all freaked out at run forward heels. Because they will correct them. The most important thing is to get elevation to the back of the foot, the hairline. Because as long as all that's pulled down, your horse will keep wanting to pull those heels in. So this was, when was this? Okay. This was 11/18. So that was just a couple days ago. This is 10/28 and this is 11/18. And what you can see here too is already the apex of the frog is wanting to pull back because this whole frog here is going to move back behind these heels. All these bulbs are going to move up higher behind the foot. The frog stay here is going to get deeper and more and up higher in the foot between the bulbs. So let's see here. So you see there, Marilyn, these notches don't seem to hurt them at all. You know, if anything, and like I said, I've been seeing these horses do this all my life and, you know, knock big areas. In Wyoming, I used to see big, huge chunks out of the side of their feet all the time. Horses that were out, you know, in pasture and stuff like that.
Linda, that crack on Valor's foot looks just like the one that Dolly had on her left front, the lateral heel. It
Uh-huh.
cracked off right up by the bar, I think back in June.
Uh-huh.
And it's all completely grown out now, just a hint of a notch left down there.
Well, see, that's great. You know, now she did that on her own.
Yeah, I noticed it when I was, I think, taking pictures before I was going to trim, and I thought, oh my word, what happened? And then I thought it was just a little crack. And then I realized it went all the way around the back of the foot into the bar, and I thought, oh my goodness, what's going to happen here?
And so what did happen?
What happened was she got sore in the summer like she normally does, and I put the glue on shoes and one of the tabs covered that crack and splinted it until it grew all the way down, and then it broke off like a big notch. It worked out just beautifully.
Huh. Well, that's great. So we're learning something from the way they self-trim in these situations, you know. So that's awesome. That is awesome. Now, here's a picture where I was after 9 years. Let's see. Okay. So this is where I finally wound up, right here. Because my horse kept making heels. So I was always trimming them down to try and get the look, you know what I mean? Which that's what they're all doing. And so then you let the look grow a year, and this is the reality of what you have really trimmed these feet into. That's why they have to trim every 2 or 3 weeks. Say, otherwise the distorted foot that you have made starts growing out. And so anyway, and these are just different stages. Like this is 22. But then trying to learn what I hadn't yet learned what I think I was by 22, I learned what the cartilage was supposed to kind of be like, you know. But I knew this wasn't right, you know, so I'm glad I started again to try and correct his feet. But okay. Well, anyway, that's all I have to share. Does anybody else want to talk about anything? Feel like I'm just rambling on. Except I'll show you something before we go. Okay, so you always hear me complaining about Mr. Jamie Jackson, right? Okay, well, and I think I shared this in another Hoof chat. So, oh, just a second here. Let me look. Let's look at our foot here. Let me find the foot. Hold on. Pictures. Okay, just have to remember where it's at. Pictures. Gotta find the exact picture. Just a second here. Okay, well, we'll just do this one. Yeah, I'm about out of memory on my computer. It doesn't want to work. Not responding. Close the program. Okay, well, let me see if I can find it somewhere else. Just a second here. Maybe I can open it now. Oh, nope, it's gonna. Okay. Okay. Just a second. Let me close some stuff. Close that. Okay, so I really want to show you this one thing. Just a minute here. I just got to close out some stuff because my computer is. Let's see. Okay, don't want to close out of Zoom. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Something has happened because I have lost my screen. Dang, the heck. Um, hmm. Well, my whole screen just went black. Wonder what happened. Huh. Where are you? Screen. Huh. Well, I guess we're gonna have to end this because my whole screen just went black and I can't find nothing.
Well,
Can
that's
you?
too bad because I just sent you 4 pictures of the progression on Dolly's crack in her foot.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to leave the meeting and come back. Okay?
Okay.
Because that's all it's letting me do. So I'll be back. Okay, it says assign and leave. So Let's see, who should we assign? Well, I'll just assign you, Marilyn. Here we go.
Gee, thanks. Isn't technology wonderful? And it works?
I think it's really cool that we can all do this and it doesn't cost a dime.
I know. And here we are in the US of A, in Europe, in Greece, and do we have anyone here from Sweden today? I mean, we're all over the world and here we are. It's crazy.
It is. I'm from Hungary.
And
So,
we are all women.
Today
Well,
we are, yes.
Yes, because we don't trust our male farriers.
but
Except
there
that-
are some cool dudes on the group. They're just not joining for some reason.
Right, David has had some
Oh,
really good
yeah,
stuff.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, but they're few and far between.
Oh, for sure.
But I will have to go because I need to get up early tomorrow. So
Have a good
unfortunately.
night.
Yeah, but I will still try to
Well,
hold
you
on.
see,
Just carrying my computer with me all over the place.
I wonder if it's not letting Linda back in.
she'll be back. She always is back.
I'm sure she's restarting her computer.
Oh, probably.
Marilyn,
Yes.
how are you doing with your hoofs?
Fairly well, actually, right now. I trimmed her hinds
Oh.
yesterday and I think she's doing pretty well.
Well, the problem is that it takes long to see any results, any concrete results. But
Oh, for sure.
I think that it pays you back when you insist on some things. And I think you have to try things. What is better for your hoofs?
Yeah, I agree.
Because every hoof is different and it's tricky, and you have to wait to see what it shows to you to do. This is my conviction now.
I agree. And then the weather changes because it's been horribly dry here all summer, and now we've had rain this week, so now it's really wet and muddy. And next week it's going to start freezing. The ground is going to freeze, so it's just that time of year.
Well, I know about no rain at all. You know, we are in the middle of something, the first time I ever saw it, I ever lived it. It's 7 months of no rain, not a drop of rain.
Wow.
My gosh.
Yes, we are losing our olive trees. And
Wow.
yes, it's the whole Mediterranean has problems. Italy has problems of the dryness, and Spain too. And all of a sudden, we had a few days ago, we had a rain. Water came into my stables. I have 20 centimeters of mud into my boxes.
Wow.
Yes, it was after 7 months, 6 months of not raining, too much water. And I have problem to get there because the roads now are inaccessible. I mean, I cannot drive to my stables. I have to walk to it.
Oh, how far is it?
Well, a couple of kilometers.
Okay, that's a hike.
Yes, thank you. When you have to carry things and load things and to take things in your bag and walk with the bags. But anyway, we'll survive. We had
Well,
a very, 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 very long summer this year.
oh, for sure.
Mm. Well, I hope everything will be good for everybody.
All we can do is try.
I
Yeah.
have a question. What happened in last week's video that it wasn't posted, or last week's call?
I don't know because I had to miss it last week.
Well, Linda wanted to show us, I was in, and Linda wanted to show us some things that she didn't want to share with on YouTube. But I didn't see it today. It was about trying to well, now at the last 15 minutes she was showing what she did with Valor, the cat with a saw, and taking off a bit of the heel buttress.
Okay, that would be a little scary to do, I think.
Yes, I tried a little bit of it, but a little bit of it. And it didn't show me anything. I mean, I had no real changes on my hoofs. We'll see if we do it more. We'll see. I don't know.
Maybe it has to grow out before it does much.
Yes, I think so, yes. I don't have hoof to work with. But after so many years, it's the first time I have a beautiful white line. Connection, perfect. My crack,
Wonderful.
yes, my crack disappeared. And I hope many other good changes are coming. Well, we see. She's old. Her hoofs doesn't grow. That's the main problem.
How old is she?
29.
Oh, wow, that is old.
Yes, but she's okay. I know, I know. She's an old, beautiful lady. Anyway, and she would have been dead if it were not for Linda about 9 years ago or 10.
Wow.
Yeah, Linda saved her life.
Well, I know it's made a difference for Dolly. I mean, we've had our ups and downs. I've been doing this for 7 years and had a few failures along the line, and that's done nothing but set me back. Looked good for a little bit and then 2 steps forward and 4 steps back. But when I started this, Dolly was in really tough shape, just really tough shape. So even what she is now is better than what she was when I started.
She'll be better. Insist and wait.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh.
But I know her feet are changing because boots that used to fit her 3, 4 years ago, I can't even get them on her feet now.
You see, they get volume.
Yep, they change. Even the boots that she wore a month ago don't fit.
You see? And once they begin to change, changes come always faster and faster and faster.
I think so.
There is a moment that you have to overpass, and then it changes. The whole thing is changing.
No, I hope so.
Yeah, it will. It will. Be passionate and brave. It will.
I have no choice at this point. The farrier fired me and there's nobody else that I would trust to trim, so here I am.
Yeah, I know how you feel. You know, I was calling people from nearby, and a friend of mine who she was doing Strasher for a couple of years to Benenitra, and I had no heels at all, at all. And then two farriers told me that it's a lost case, and 3 vets asked me to put her down.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I found Linda. And since then I'm trying very hard, but I have hoofs now. She has.
Good.
Yeah. So if I got better, everybody else will get better than me. She had really, really very big problems.
We're trying.
Yeah, I know. I know. I wanted to ask something, Linda, but next time. You know, I went to a show with Greek horses. We have the sidewalkers. It's a Greek breed. And 90% of these horses had the same problem. They bump their hoofs, the front hoofs, to each other, which is absolutely the first time I've seen it. I mean, I know these people from years. And this time, they wore always the protect boots. And all the horses were bumping left front to the right front, or the right front to the left front. I don't know. I mean, it must be some farriers that make the same trims. There is no other explanation.
Huh.
Mhm. And unfortunately, I had no opportunity of doing many photos. I have some, but and these Greek horses have really nice hoofs, genetically very, very hard and correct hoofs.
So, just listening to what you're talking about with these horses. So,
Yeah.
if they were standing, were they standing base narrow at their feet?
No. When they were walking.
But when they're just standing, are they standing base narrow with their feet?
Well, I didn't notice
Just
any
that.
difference standing. I mean, they looked okay.
So then, more than likely, it's the foot flight of their foot. If
But
they're standing,
I had no chance to take their feet on my hands because there were people I couldn't ask it to. So I don't know what kind of problem they had.
So what is the breed? You called them sidewalkers. Why did they have that name? Just curious.
Because they put their left legs and right legs on the same direction every step. how do you do? It's like the you have in United
Gated-
States, you have the
gated-
trotters, I think, the
Oh,
pagers.
okay. So they pace. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Got.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it was like this every horse, or only horses that were owned by certain people or off of certain lines?
No, they were of a certain area, all
Right.
of them, and they had a kind of show,
Yeah.
a race, let's say.
Yeah.
And I knew these horses, and they never had these problems.
Before.
So this year, I went. They make an annual gathering, and this year they all had the same problem. They were bumping the front feet, the front feet to each other.
So was this at the pace, the walk, both?
Not at the walk, at the pace.
Pace.
And they all wear the same protection
Yeah.
boot.
You would think if that many of them were having that problem that and had to wear boots, that they would think there's a problem.
Well, some of them, yes, perhaps, but not all of them.
Yeah.
I saw a couple that were bleeding to
Yeah.
their hoof.
Which is why they put the boots on them.
Yes. So it must have been some farrier's problems.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps
Yeah.
someone did something that liked to somebody, and then he got other clients, and I am 90% sure that it was the trimming problem.
Yeah.
You cannot explain it otherwise. It's the first time I see
Genetically,
this
it would take a little while for a genetic change to happen in a body shape to make that happen. But a farrier trim would certainly make that happen a lot quicker, for sure.
Yes. Maybe it's a kind of fashion. They change something, and then everybody, maybe somebody liked this kind of trimming, and they repeated it.
Yeah.
But it's very strange because it's the first time they had this problem. Some of these horses.
Yeah. Humans do not good things.
Yes.
Well, I just came back from the dissection that I went to over the weekend, and we dissected graciously offered by the owner a 5-year-old thoroughbred off the track. That, was timely in his passing. We just found it was a great opportunity to be able to see this particular horse, because there was so much wrong with him that we got to see lots of things, and that's a lot of it probably has come from the race industry, from the breeding, and what we as humans have decided we need in horses. But to be able to see lesions and the body and in the bones and restrictions and tears in the fascia and just kissing spine throughout his spine. He had lordosis in his lumbar spine. God. It was sad, but it was such a great opportunity, and the owner was there, and we all cried several times. But it was such a great learning opportunity, and to kind of understand how bad this horse was. She had sticked him at 16.2, 16.3, and they put him on a stand so that we could do this dissection standing. And when they got him set up on the stand with his feet on the ground, so it straightened his body, and he was no longer in control of his body. He was 17.1.
Wow.
Beautiful horse. I mean, lovely. And to be in as much pain as this horse probably was in, she said he had explosive moments only because of his discomfort, but otherwise he was, a more stoic horse. But
Most of them are like this.
yeah. Yeah. And Sharon May Davis is the one that did the dissection, and she said this horse would have been spectacular. Otherwise, she's not an ECVM horse. They don't think it takes a long time for them to clean the cervical vertebra. So that was not part of our dissection. We got to see the cervical vertebra not cleaned, but he has x-rays that show some changes in his C6 and C7. But Sharon thinks he probably had a fracture in his neck. And his left front shoulder down showed evidence that he had something that his leg went far back. So whether he had like a rotational fall or something, not sure. He was 3 when the woman bought him off the track. And 2 years of trying to get the horse to be ridden and not able to. And finally was to the point to where when they would turn him out, he would go lean up against the fence for support.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yes. So she was very timely in her decision to do this, and did have to haul him, unfortunately, from Florida to South Carolina. But it was we got to see some of the internal organs and the damage that had been done to them, and even at injection sites in his neck and possible drugs that he might have had. And it was very, very, and there's just no way to take in information in 3 days. I mean, my brain is about fried. But it was a great experience. I'll do it again.
Oh God. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have to be, it's an educational thing,
Yes, I know. I'm very hard on these things usually, but with horses, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only animal. I have all kinds of animals in my life. I mean, everything. But with horses, it's different. Because, one of the main things I know about horses, and the most terrible thing I know, is that they have no cry for pain.
Yes.
They don't say anything.
Well, some of them do, but a lot of times those
when they suffer
they're
pain,
treated as behavioral problems when that happens.
Yes, it's behavior. It's not cry. It's not crying with tears. I mean, they don't say anything. They don't use
they don't whine or whimper or
nothing.
Yeah.
And I find this the most how can I say, terrible thing in my life, that these such beautiful animals, so gentle animals, so impossible kind creatures, they don't say anything when they suffer. They don't vocally.
Yeah.
To
I
me,
never thought of that before. I never thought of that. You're right.
Well, to me, it's terrible, terrible. I mean, my mind just blows knowing that there is something, a kind of creature that suffers in silence. It's very heavy if you think.
Well, it is that they certainly don't have the vocalization for it, but they do show it. You just have to be able to
yes, they do show everything. I mean, when you look at your horse on his face, you can exactly know how he feels and what he wants or not.
Yes.
They have facial respond, but the vocal response,
Yeah.
which comes instantly and how can I say? It's a response.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
automatically responding.
Yeah.
They don't have it.
Yep.
If you think of it, it's something very, 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 very sad.
Yeah. And unfortunately, most humans, not most, but a lot of people just don't get or understand the ability to look at their horse to see this horse.
Yes.
When I looked at the pictures that they sent and the history of the horse, I could see in this horse's body that, you know, something was, and he got passed by a vet. She had the horse vetted, and he had some abnormalities in his x-rays, but the horse was sound, so the vet said he was fine. If for what she wanted, a more pleasure horse, not a competition horse, that he would be fine. I mean, I can't see any vet looking at that horse's conformation and thinking this horse was going to be functional. I just don't understand that. And the results of his neck x-rays where there showed changes in C6 and C7. I just don't understand how a vet could, you know, say, oh yeah, he should be fine. You know, and I'm pretty sure the people selling him off the track knew something was wrong with him, you know, but they got some money for him. So, but
It
even
comes down to
Sharon,
money, doesn't it?
Sharon, yeah, comes down to the money. Sharon said looking, she didn't end up with all the photos and everything until she was there. And she looked at the picture of the horse standing with his head over a stall door and said, yeah, the horse is in pain. You know, you can just, signs of it were there in his face, in his head. But he had tumors on his adrenal glands because, you know, they produce the cortisol when the body's in pain and in distress. And so in order to produce more cortisol, one of his adrenal glands had tumors on it. And though they were non-tumors, but they form in order to help produce more cortisol. He had a lesion in his spleen, which Sharon said most of the time those happen from falls, but they heal quickly. But the horse will usually can a lot of times show colic signs, you know, 24 hours or so after that. But they do heal well. So, I mean, that's just another sign, you know, too, that something did happen to him. But his lungs, his heart, you know, they just weren't normal either. So,
whatever happened was significant.
Yes, it was. And supposedly I think he only raced once and didn't do well, but I think he was still in training and they were still breezing him. I'm like, are you expecting the horse to get better? I don't know. It's that race industry thing. We did get to see some ECVM vertebra. Pamela Eckelbarger, who has the bone room in Aiken, is doing a lot of the ECVM research. Brought out, she helps organize this and assist with several other people with the dissection. And she brought a bunch of vertebra, normal vertebra and ECVM vertebrae for us to see, and talked about where the research and everything was on that, and how, you know, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of vets and all, that are just not, they don't see it as a problem. But from an evolution standpoint, they're seeing this as an evolution change, that these horses are going in this direction, and it's not going to go back the way it was. So several theories on why. They have also found out the nuchal ligament does no longer attach to C6 and C7. So that's going to be a problem because that's the stability in the neck. So
I'll have nightmares tonight.
sorry. I mean, but
After this
but it's
conversation.
reality. And I mean, it's our job, those of us who know and understand, to try to get it out there for people to be aware of what the problem is. That,
Of course, you're right, but
I mean, and Sharon's thing was how a lot of this has developed is after the Industrial Revolution and horses were no longer used, for work. Women started riding more, and by the 1950s, women competed in the Olympics in dressage, and then eventually in show jumping, and then eventually in eventing. And now, what is it? The majority of people who ride and have horses are women. And so selection was made for these horses to have more flexibility in their necks to make them easier to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And that flexibility in their necks is where the problem is coming from. That loss of the nuchal ligament on C6 and C7, which takes away stability of the neck, makes the neck more mobile.
Sure.
And, also now with the mutations in the first rib happening as well. It's a little scary, and they have found it in lots of breeds. I mean, predominantly thoroughbreds, but it's going more global, and crossbreds as well as purebreds.
And it's interesting when you start breeding for a specific person, you really start messing things up.
Yeah. Well, we're not letting horses be horses.
Yeah.
I come from show jumping in Greece. And at a certain point in my life, I decided to come to the country. And these 3 horses happened to me because my jumper died. And I decided to come here just to bring him along, to retire him. And I didn't make it with the time. So these 3 mares, the thoroughbreds, happened to me.
Yeah.
And when I began to live with these 3 horses, these 3 mares, my whole life changed. The way I rode, the way I think, the way I feel, the way I do things, my entire world changed. And now I became more, how can I say, not more sentimental, but
more sensitive, maybe?
No, I was always like this, but now it hurts me because I know more.
Yes. That's the knowledge is and understanding is the big thing.
Yes.
Here. But that's what horses are for. I really truly believe they're here to ground us back to where we're supposed to be. We've gone so far away from where we as humans should be. That's
yes.
what the horse's job is to do.
This is very correct. Yes.
That's why they're here.
Yeah.
And I have one in particular that is very much here for that and here for me. I'm supposed to help her and she's supposed to help me. I had an animal communicator, actually, one I knew that several other people have used that I know was real. And she basically said she was very special, called her a star seed, that there's information and knowledge, and I guess maybe certain vibrations, feelings that are supposed to come from her. And so, which probably explains some of the reasons for the difficulties that she has being a normal horse. So,
Well, it's always like this. Always.
yeah.
I mean, what the heck is always like this? I have the same situation with this mare I have now, not the Benenitra, the other one.
Mm-hmm.
It is always like that.
Yeah, but so we're meant to, like you said, they came to you. All my horses have come to me. When I found her, I was not looking for her. I had decided my other two horses, one's older and one's getting older, that I needed to find something, that I could really ride, like 3 or 4 year old gelding. And I ended up with a 5-month-old gray filly.
Well,
Gray is
I remember
species.
looking for a quarter horse gelding and ending up with a 7/8 Arabian mare. So,
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah. I mean, gray is not my color at all. And, for some reason, I think we were supposed to be together for her to help me. And she has helped me a lot. I have, like you said, gone through a lot of changes in the way I deal with horses because of her, and understanding of how they need to be treated. I mean, I'm old enough to come from the you broke horses era and into the natural horsemanship, which I was like, that's still not quite right. So
I hear you.
So yeah. She's 6 years old now, and I still have not backed her.
Well, she's just now getting fully mature, so
yes, she is, but
there's no rush.
Her brain is not there, and I don't want to die.
Good point.
I
I just got a message from Linda. She still can't get into her computer.
Okay.
Okay,